All right. Hello. Welcome everyone
Shit.
back. Magically, Motley appears.
I wasn't ready.
Happy hour show. Surprise!
How's it going,
Get out of
Motley?
here. All right. We'll get there.
Real quick before
ready
you
now?
go, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Should we get
real
live,
quick-
Motley?
Hold on, guys. Give me a second. 1 second.
Is
Can you
that a
guys hear
Maximus
I'm
shirt?
trying. Oh my god, I'm trying to see if I can run the AC while streaming. Can you guys hear the AC in the background or no?
I don't hear anything.
No.
Oh, perfect. All right, cool. I don't have to sweat my
This
ass
has
off.
changed the game for Motley forever.
It really did. Especially on your 4-hour streams, it helps.
Oh yeah, like last week it probably.
Cabana,
was.
what did you say about Motley's shirt? Is this a Maximus shirt? Because like
I was
the
gonna say,
pattern
it
here
looks
looks
like
beautiful.
a
The color
Maximus
looks
themed
beautiful.
color shirt. Yeah.
Nice, bro.
Is not Maximus. It is
In
the
our
color
hearts,
theme.
it is.
Kind of got the Greek, got a Greek thing going.
Wow, what is up, everybody in chat? I'm on location this weekend. Motley is familiar with this spot, and so there are occasionally cars and passersby. Actually, probably not too many passersby tonight because it's rather nasty weather in the area. But it's going to clear out for the weekend, so that's cool. How's everybody doing? How you doing, Motley?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I wish I had some more dry powder, but besides that, I'm doing okay.
Yeah, I think that's the sentiment that we can all echo. aBit and Patrick, how are you guys doing?
My feelings are up and down just like the chart, right? My feelings are proportional to the chart, actually, 1-to-1 correlated. And right now, my feelings are so bad. But I said it a couple of days ago already. I remember when we started, then we thought it would be amazing if HEX could ever go to 1 penny. And now where are we at 5 times 1 penny? So it's still pretty good.
6.5.
6.5 times 1 penny. It's still pretty good. We're sitting
now.
on a really good cushion. Hey. So, but maybe I can ask this question then. Is the bottom in, guys? What do you guys think?
Depends
No.
on who you ask. If Wendy's for Tendies was here, he would say no, I think. Is that correct, Motley?
Yeah, we've been saying no for a while. 1 to 3 cent range, and shoot, we weren't even thinking we were going to hit that until like the rate hikes, the second rate hike hit, and we got it last night. But last night was kind of an interesting case with that whale that was providing the liquidity, decided to pull it and then market sell it all in one swoop. Pretty interesting. So we hit that like, what was it? I think like a 3.6 cent wick down. So yep, we're already hitting the range that I thought we'd be hitting later next month. So we maybe sub-cent HEX is on the table now, which would be insane.
I don't
Sell
know,
everything
man.
up.
I think that's wishful thinking.
I do too. That's why I'm going to shoot the middle, and like I'm going to DCA on the way down, but like I think might be lucky to snag 2 cents or maybe a little bit below 2 cents.
Yeah, I bought some yesterday, and I had limit order in, and that got
filled.
Limit orders. That's why you do limit orders, right? It's like, people. Some people were, I think it was Annette, I saw her tweet, and she was like, basically jokingly saying she ran across the room, almost hurt herself trying to get to the computer, trying to catch the dip. And it's like, you set limit orders, and sometimes prices don't go down to where, or they go down faster than you think they will. They'll reach levels lower than you think they will. So why not have some limit orders sitting down there? A lot of people, hit it big with that.
And they bounce quicker too because of those limit orders that people have set.
Shit, who is this?
Oh, hello.
Shit.
What's up, gentlemen? How are you?
What's
No.
the
It
red
says,
letter say?
Don't ask me. It says, don't ask me for shit.
For shit. Okay.
Appropriate.
Yes, Constantine. Limit
How's
order
everybody
with
doing?
matchup.
How are we feeling?
Awesome.
Feeling-
What did I miss?
Missed a great taco dinner and some Dos Equis, but now I'm on the rum. I don't know. What'd you miss with Motley and aBit and Patrick?
Yeah.
Anything for
what's
you
going
guys?
on,
Motley's
gentlemen?
he's wearing his Maximus shirt and he's in the zone right now. So
So where is your Maximus shirt?
We're in Colombia
I
right
would
now.
say you're a bigger gladiator than Motley.
We do not know about that for sure, right?
Not volume wise, but like promotion wise.
Yeah, we're just talking about price. So right before you got on there, Big K, debating if the bottom was in. Motley does not think it is. I guess I'll go to aBit and Patrick next. But since you just joined us, do you think the bottom is in?
I mean, I'd like to believe it is, but like we're still in a downward parabola, and until we go sideways for a little bit or do something else besides fucking dump mercilessly, then like we're still in a downward parabola. Looks like we're going to continue. I mean, it looks like we continue this direction.
But just like Monty said, it was a big whale that dumped, and that's why we have so low prices. But I don't know if the price could go way lower. We, I think, are at 92% dip. This is what we had, right, from the all-time high to the all-time low just a couple of hours ago. So how much lower can it really go? And it's, I think, the best strategy that we always say is to dollar cost average in. Like so many people in the chat said that they bought at 4 cents, at 5 cents, at 6 cents. They are really happy. And I'm happy too, even as an OG, because I'm right now onboarding my family, like Eureka's family. Everybody wants to buy. And then, of course, my guys here in Colombia as well that are promoting HEX. I made them their own MetaMask, and now they have a great entry point into HEX, into Maximus, and into PLSD as well.
So now it's my time, I guess, no? So I think the bottom is in, and I give you various reasons. First of all,
I agree with you, Patrick.
Second of all, look at total liquidity. A few months ago, we had a total liquidity of nearly 50,000 million. Right now, it's total liquidity 21.5. If you just put in like a 10 million buy order, you would scoop up the price to 33 cents. So it does not need a lot of liquidity to get back up to the levels. And I mean, we saw lots of people already like selling their bet. And if Bitcoin and Ethereum does not make like their 80, I think the HEX dip is in, the bottom is in.
What if they do though? We're going into a macroeconomic bear. We have multiple rate hikes still coming. Like, I don't think we're like the rest of the markets are escaping the bear market. I think all that's coming. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum's day is coming. You don't think HEX is going to continue to go down if that plays out?
Yeah. If they do their 80-85% dip, then I think the bottom is not in. If they don't, then I think the bottom is in.
I'd be surprised if they didn't, honestly.
Yeah. That's a good point, Motley. It's like the Bitcoin and Ethereum coins do tend to lead the market, and it's like if they do go to 20K and or 15K, or say Richard's 11K, then that's going to be immense pressure on the entire market. I don't care what kind of coin you own. I personally think that the bottom could be in, just because this, especially if today's candle holds, and I was joking with Stef, and I'll get to him in a second. So if we get a hammer today and we saw the amount of sell pressure and we came back from that in less than 24 hours, that's big, and that's kind of a capitulation bottom. That's how those things happen. I'm not saying that this is the absolute bottom and we can't go back to 3 or 4 cents, but that's the type of behavior that we can see at bottoms. So
I mean, it's true. I mean, how many other 140 million like market sells are you going to see like that?
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
And welcome. First time.
Yeah, I believe the first time. I love the show. I watch from time to time when walking on the side. Just the quiz at the end is always a treat.
Yeah. So I guess we'll loop you in on this discussion. I guess I've replied to some tweets of yours, because you said you were setting limit orders. I've set limit orders, and I'm assuming some of those got filled. Do you think the bottom is in? What's your feeling?
It was a very, very interesting day for me. I wake up, and on one hand, I got different notification system telling me that some of my buy order got filled, so I was happy with that. And then on the other hand, I get accused to sell down the price, so I was like, what the fuck going on? It'd be silly to do both at the same time, but people like to have narrative about why the price is going, but at the end of the day, it's just a market participant, right? People might try to make it so much more complex that it's just supply and demand. If someone doesn't like the product anymore, or they need to pay taxes a bit late, or they really think that we're entering a recession, then say, oh, I don't have enough cash, or what if, right? And you can't blame people for just dealing with that money, right? If we're all about freedom, and all of us like to control what people are doing with that money. So it's very interesting. The bottom could be in if it really depends on the macro context, right? If we're entering recession for a couple of years, nobody's gonna be saved.
Not in. Definitely not in.
because you could say, well, hard law is powerful because if you're I think it could apply to any kind of market. Like if you decouple enough or you don't share liquidity pairs with other assets, you should be fine. But at the end of the day, you always share something against the dollar, and even it goes beyond than just what you have in liquidity. It's just the market psychology of everybody. Even if you think that you're on decorrelated product, you can even be in gold and think that, well, people might be too afraid just to sit on gold and just go back to cash to pay their bills and just sell, for 1 or 2 years. So things are always a bit more nuanced and complicated than people want to believe. At the end of the day, it's just the cumulative aspect of market participants selling and buying, right? And because everything is about psychology, you can see a lot of fear today, but I think the fear is not at this paroxysm on the macro market, right? Major indicator like 500 in the US, where a lot of boomers hold their 401k or pension funds. We're looking at millions of American people. If the Fed is not supporting a market crash, you're looking at like millions of people, tens of millions of people saying, well, I don't want my pension just to go down. I want to be able to survive for the last years of my life. I might sell, when the market correct like 30%, 40%, 50%, they might sell the bottom there. And if that's the case, like we're in for a couple of years of like pain.
Yeah, cash is definitely king during these recessions, and I think that's another reason too, especially in HEX, that we might see continuing lowering prices over the next month or so. Is with it was kind of funny because this topic came up on Jim Rat Crypto show where they were trying to figure out that bow wave of a large amount of stakes coming out, and that we've seen for every month, and it just continues to move out. And those are the short, larger rolling stakes that sharks have. I'll be curious to see as those sharks monthly, bi-monthly, 3-month stakes as they come out, if they're willing to start exiting their larger HEX positions and start stacking up on cash. So I'm kind of curious to see over the next month or two how that plays out. And I wouldn't mind shaking out some of these larger sharks out of their positions as time moves on. So I'm kind of curious to see how that plays out as well, particularly just to our ecosystem and seeing if people are going to start stocking up on cash reserves as opposed to stocking up on the HEX.
Something that I want to throw in is the game theory that we have in HEX. We are talking about the bear market right now because it flushes out a lot of people. We are saying, well, they are losing their financial energy in the future. But we have also another tool in HEX, which is the truth engine, the emergency end stake penalties that you pay when you are not honest to the code, right? And I think we have seen it lately as well, that more and more people emergency end stake and pay that fee, maybe because they want to exit this market. But what does that really mean? Now they have less financial energy to dump on the market. I think this is a really awesome tool that we have here in HEX to really protect the price of HEX. So I do not really know if it's going to go down more, but I'm really curious for all those fees that I will be earning while other people are untruthful to the code. What do you guys think about that? Do we
you also have people?
Yeah,
so you also have people, and I'm very surprised. Like 2 years and a half, in the project, that can nuke their account. I don't really believe in the hacker because people just don't know enough about their investment. They click button on the screen, they skip the warning, and all of a sudden, oh, I thought that money was liquid. It was like a staking Cardano or ETH or whatever token without penalties, right? Mm-hmm. So actually, we are. I think it would be good to do some sort of analysis of like how many people with the staker app we say just because we have this warning right in front of the user. Hey, do you want to be net zero on your stake or not? Right? And this is actually something I talked with Richard in September. I was like, hey, it would be nice just to maybe a little warning on the go.hex.com website for the people that don't know about the penalty. Yeah,
we have to.
Where you have a
Yeah,
warning
but
that there is a penalty, but you don't know how much, right?
It just
You
warns
just don't know
It
the
doesn't tell you,
amount.
yeah.
You just say, hey, you
Yeah,
can lose things, but you don't know how much you're gonna lose, right? It doesn't tell you, hey, you're losing everything. It's all about the user experience. I think these things could be improved. So we should not always be satisfied of the statu quo. Say, hey, if we believe that we want to create like a sustainable environment where people strive, the people that are losing their money, some people rejoice making funny memes. Say, hey, thank you for your service. I hate that, right? In a sense that it's okay to make jokes, but on the other side of the line, there's someone maybe that didn't know or went too fast, and it's a bit crazy to me that people enter a project not understanding the consequences, but that might still happen. It's still happening.
DJ Cryptomatic.
Mic check
doing,
1 2.
Can you hear me? 1 2. You are good. Thank you for the pre-game show once again. First of all,
yeah, sorry I'm late. I had to wrap up my turntable.
Well, yeah, you just can't, leave your stream for hours if you're a guest. But
no, I know.
Our original question would start all this off, and we've got opinions around the room. Do you think the bottom is in? So,
yes,
do
sir.
you think? Oh, well, we're just going to come right out of the gate. All right, and why?
Yeah, but let me just say what a crazy week this has been for the community, right? I mean, I spend most time on Twitter this week, kind of running around trying to reassure the new people that have not seen these kind of dips before, pointing out FUDs. I've seen people that opened fresh Twitter accounts just to post some totally baseless FUD. This is usually only seen in the Bitcoin world, that we have this going on in HEX too now, with just posting totally, you can see, it has like 9 followers, account started in May 2022, and it's just posting like crazy stuff to really get people shaken out of their positions. But this week overall, I mean, first last weekend we had Richard coming out saying, okay, we're not going to launch in May. This kind of split the community almost in half between the believers in Richard and the sort of not quite sure believers. Then on Wednesday, we had this crazy school shooting in Texas, which again split the community in half with like pro-gun and anti-gun agendas. And then today we had another event like this with this crazy 140 million whale dumpage that gets people again divided and shaken. So this is a special week. I mean, the community is really tested right now. So, everybody that always wanted the non-believers to be flushed out, I mean, we saw that happening this week, I guess. So it's been absolutely crazy. And I think it's a bit much for that short a time span to have so many crazy events, if you know what I mean.
And you have a lot of like short signals, like from people around you. My parents, they're in the HEX game as well for a couple of years. And when I saw my phone yesterday, my dad was calling. He's like, I think I know why he's calling. He's like, and the first few was like, what's going on? It's like, well, people are taking profit. What can I say? Or panic selling. But you see a lot of signals like that, where on one hand, the fear is emerging, investors, whether they're stake or not. On the other hand, you see people backstabbing, being more nagging, angry. That, to me, that's kind of like early sign of like capitulation. We are maybe reaching a bottom, even locally. On the other side, I think the last one was Anthony Susano, one of the Ethereum maxi, saying, "Oh, we knew that X was the next, right?"
That guy.
So that
man.
was
Don't get me started.
same. This is that McCormick did on December 8th, right? This kind of, when your haters rejoice, it's a sign that maybe we hit the bottom. So at least for a little while.
I would agree normally, and it feels like that with everything that Stef was saying. But the macroeconomics of all the other markets say otherwise.
That's true.
So
there's
it's
a big
just
if.
like
There's a big
it's weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird place to be. That's what I'm saying. Like I kind of like to shoot the middle maybe and see, but yeah, we just won't know.
Yeah, but with liquidity at those levels, you don't need much buying pressure to get the price back up, right?
Or sell pressure. It's a double-edged sword. Same thing.
It's true, but the more people are aware of that, the larger players are less willing to sell for considerably less, when they know that they're going to incur incredible slippage.
You would think that besides that LP whale last night, that
Well,
slippage was
we
nasty.
can't all.
Yeah, but,
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, because BK, you would have said the same thing like a week ago when the 87 million guy dumped like in 3 market transactions, and
Sure.
not even a week later, somebody else does it with way more hex.
Yeah,
Wild.
That is true.
And I
But
think
these are unusual market behaviors as well. Like this, it's almost 140 million in a market dump. That's almost a black swan event. And if we hit this one more time, of course we go lower. But if we just stick to normal people, regular traders selling and buying, I would say the bottom is in now.
But look at the panic that created, DJ.
Yep.
Like look at all the panic and turmoil. Like go look at Twitter, look at the community, just like
the
everyone
HEX
losing their
trading
minds
Telegram.
at each other's throats. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily bode well
No.
for the short term, I don't think.
It doesn't.
And somehow
again,
it's crazy. I
like-
see it in so many places. For example, just in normal chat in HEX, right? The HEX design chat, somebody's asking for a link, and then the other guy is saying, "You can get your link by yourself," and just so hateful, for no reason. It's just funny. Well, the market does that. My heart is bleeding too. What are you gonna do? I think all you do is do your best every single day, right? Get up and talk about the things that you love, improve yourself. And I think this is what we Hexicans should concentrate about, not player hating on ourselves, on our community. Just like Richard also said, it's like makes him hurt when people are player hating on him, for example, because he just bought a couple of Louis Vuitton. I think that's disgusting.
Guys, do you think that something like this 140 million dump is like a political statement towards Richard, or what is like the reasoning behind it?
I'm glad they're gone.
I wanted to ask that too.
Agree.
Could somebody maybe summarize what happened there? Like, why did he not play it really good? Like, why is that like his political statement?
I mean, we won't know unless we know that individual ourselves, right? I mean, you can speculate on it, but
that was
regardless,
a habitual selling account for. I mean, it would just kept dumping and dumping and dumping over time, right? And I think it got in. One of the chain analysis threads I saw was May of last year, or May of 2021. So it's an old account, and it's just.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they said that there was linked to a Bitcoin free claim that netted like 8 million hex in free claim, which means it had like something a bunch of Bitcoin. I don't know how much that is off the top of my head, 800 Bitcoin or something like that. So like it's some Bitcoiner with some status, that was doing it, that owned those coins initially. So.
That's exactly what I heard as well. I think Hextronaut is in the chat as well. He probably made a analysis about that.
So.
What I heard from Matty All In is that this guy is a day one Hexican, right? He got a lot of free hex just by claiming. This is amazing. Just shows his financial energy, I guess. But then also there is some weird behavior of this market dump. Would you do it like this, or would you do it a little bit smarter? Or there's also his sacrifice. I believe he only sacrificed $50,000 for PulseX, and there's a huge ratio shift in Pulse for his sacrifice, for example. So I think this is really interesting as well.
Yeah, it's interesting to see like the different aspects of those accounts. I mean, you see so many that have a huge footprint in the Pulse or PulseX ecosystem. So I think that's really interesting, because I would think that you would want to, at least if your account's that big, you'd want to diversify bigger than they already have. So I find that behavior pretty interesting. And especially like, down at this level, if you dump at that magnitude, what it's going to do to the price and the panic it's going to cause. So I don't know if it was just for entertainment, guy didn't need money, but at the same time,
great joke.
The liquidity, 2/3 of it's gone compared to where it was yesterday morning. I mean, we're at like 65 million hex right now. So that to me is nuts. I mean, I realize it can go up, but compared to the 200 some million that we were at yesterday, I mean, that's pretty big. If especially, I'm not saying PulseChain's near, but one of the things is to people have speculated, remove liquidity, before PulseChain. I mean, there's a lot of liquidity gone. Just saying.
I mean, it's going to be a lot easier to find for HEX and EHEX to find parity if we're worth only a penny a piece.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I thought that too. It's much easier to do.
There's two things that maybe there are two things that are maybe worth reminding for maybe some people that haven't been in the crypto space for a long time. With the advance of the single-sided liquidity on Uniswap V3, there is ways for you just to sell or buy with impacting marginally the price. It's a bit more technical, but yeah, you don't need to market sell all of your X all of a sudden. Yeah, so that's one. And for people that actually want to catch these bottom wicks, there is nice ways to do it. I don't think I've heard it anywhere before, and I follow a lot of streams. If you want to DCA down and having a lot of liquidity orders, you can do it across different limit order, on-chain limit order provider like Matcha or 1inch. And you need to be careful because depending on the technology, sometimes you cannot have multiple limit orders set because you need to sign all of them, and they will be corresponding to different transactions, right? So if the first get hit, then it will auto cancel or expire the following one, and you might miss even the bottom part of the week. So one way to do it is create like multiple accounts and spread maybe your funds across different addresses and sign across them, and so you can catch these funds across the board. So I understand what I said might be a bit technical for some people, but yes, research a bit more about liquidity, limit orders, and using single-sided liquidity.
Well, I wanted to ask a question here because we all think this was a strange behavior, dumping all, and I just wanted to try to take the other perspective. Maybe it was really smart of this guy, but then Stef already explained it in his answer here why it's totally not the reason. But my point is though, if this whale would have just sold a little bit, right? Normally how you would do it, or do it in a limit order, wouldn't that give a signal to all the other people in the ecosystem? Oh, the guy is dumping. Maybe he could dump more. Could that maybe put the panic back into the market, and the guy would not get as many HEX as he had, or as many as USDC as he had? Hedron was saying he had like $6 million after the trade.
Yeah, but he had been selling for months, I thought. So, I mean, that wouldn't have been a signal because it's like, oh, normal behavior for this guy. Just keeps dumping, million here, a few 100,000 there. So
and just like Stef said, he could also just put his financial energy into different accounts and then sell from those different accounts to not scare the market. I guess this would already be a strategy to avoid this panic on the market.
Yeah, I would not be concerned too much about what people are doing and trying to put a story behind why they're doing it. Again, right. You will never know. There's too many market participants. Yeah. So we can speculate. It's fun and entertaining to say, oh, what if, or what. The most likely situation is like the reason why people sell is because they're afraid that the thing's gonna go down, and they hope that they're not gonna be the last seller, and often they might end up just being the last seller of the move. So in that case of the guy, yeah, maybe why you could ask why he didn't sell before, why he didn't sell 2 weeks ago, a month ago. Maybe he was speculating on a price increase from the PulseChain coming around, and he got disappointed. He was not sure. People hesitating. People are sloppy all over the place. So I would not put too much weight into rational thinking, especially when you're selling the bottom. So
yeah, but even if they have such a big bag, I mean, if you have money crypto like that, I would say exactly what you're doing. I mean, this is low volume, low liquidity.
No.
Coin.
People are sloppy. People are very sloppy.
Just because you have a lot of coins doesn't mean that you're intelligent or making the right moves all the time. No,
but this is pretty cool. We have two different opinions here. DJ Cryptomatic is saying this guy knows his shit. Stef is saying this guy is a pleb. He has no idea, right?
I'm not saying that. He could. What I'm saying
he
is
sacrificed a lot for PulseChain, but he did not sacrifice too much for PulseX. What do you guys make out of that? Is that a smart move? Is that a stupid move? What do you guys think? Where could that lead?
Well, you also do you know the rest of his wallets? Like he could have a bunch of other wallets that maybe sacrifice more. Again, you just don't know unless you've gone and done full depth chain analysis. Yeah, you don't know.
And even then, even with chain analysis, it says actually where to be caught into over speculating, over interpreting signals. And I've been victim of that, right? So I've been onboarding, I think, more than 500 people in the past 2 years. So not to mention, I've been like giving away a lot of X to people around me. So if you were trying to do some such analysis, you could maybe overinterpret some moves or some signals. At the end of the day, you don't really know. You can only maybe approximate a given situation, but you don't really know what people have. So I think it's a fun game, but
but is it a good use of your time and energy? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean that's the point. You could be so much more productive in saying, "Hey, I've got skills about, I'm data driven, and I've got skills about analyzing different things, putting stuff into a chart. Why don't you use that time just to create something that other investors might be finding interesting, right?" I mean, and people do what they want, but I would not waste my time just looking at Etherscan transaction. That seems quite silly.
Cabana, you just put it up a comment like that. It's what was the comment about? That there is more HEX available, like for the market to get, and that's not the case, because if you look at liquidity and how it changed over the last over the last months, then you see we had like 50 million of total liquidity. Now we have like 21, and it's like only 130, 140 million HEX like available for sale right now. So it's not that we have more HEX on the market for sale.
You when you say liquidity, is like you account for the total liquidity in dollar terms.
And the total liquidity in HEX terms. I mean, no, like just the one side. Just the one side. Yeah.
You get, if you account for it in dollar terms, it's normal that you feel that liquidity disappeared, because piece of it is denominated in HEX, again, because dollar goes down. So
but it's like it's 21.5 in total right now. It's a little over 10 million on the USDC side, and the rest is on the ETH or the HEX side. A little bit on the ETH side, most on the HEX side.
Yeah, and wanted to hit on Crypto Ewok's conspiracy-laden comment. Could it be a BTC guy trying to call us FUD and hoping he sends it to zero? They do not want us to go back up. Anything's possible because it was a free claimer, right? So, if he owns a ton of Bitcoin and other wallets, then could be just sport for him, and he saw the opportunity and had been just making side income off.
Would they be providing liquidity then?
Maybe.
And also, I think
if the grand scheme was to pull it at the end, like towards the bottom, and be like, "All right, let's go."
I'm gonna
like Stef's answer. Good luck. Good luck. Hey,
I still have a couple of limit orders, so yes, give me some coins.
Yeah.
And I think
one good side effect
problem as well, right? This guy, if he's a BTC guy, just want to bring HEX to zero. This means he bought in the past, right? Bringing up the HEX price, right? And if you hate HEX, why would you do that? So I don't think that there can be human beings out there that they hate something so bad that they just want to hurt their own pockets. And this is what the guy did, right?
It's possible, but think about it. Who was the most incentive to see the X price going up across all market participants? There's one guy that more than anyone else hate to see a price going down, and for proof, is not tweeting the floor is lava when it's going down, right?
Yeah.
So if BTC claimers is trying to outweigh, someone that's way more economic mass than himself, and I said good luck, right? Not only there's a lot of participants that's looking at the price, and that will be supporting it.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of liquidity weighing between 3.5 and 5 cents or so. That's from some big accounts that are just goading people to sell down there. Please sell at these rates. They'd love to scoop it up for probably no one to ever see it again. So I mean, I'm not saying it's the bottom. We could always go lower, but I mean, seems like a silly place to sell.
Yeah. After 94%. correction.
Yeah, that's
when you
too.
want to sell.
Yeah. It's like 85, 90%, and it's like, okay, well, a lot of other coins have yet to make it there. We're already here, so at least like throw one buy in, not financial advice. I'm just thinking
No,
as
no,
an
no, no. Of
opinion.
course not.
I mean,
what went on in my head, so
there's
threw mine.
nothing wrong with starting your DCA here, right? Like you can allocate certain percentages on these steps
You could,
down. Like you don't go and just blow your wad on one shot, and then we do go lower, and then you find yourself without any dry powder. Like me right now, like I don't have any dry powder. I have some coming in later, but I wasn't able to take advantage of this. So try to step your way down, and just like you DCA earlier, DCA on the way down during this bear market, especially if we end up going lower. And if we don't, at least you're glad that you took some chunks of HEX along the way now.
Guys, I remember in the early days, or not in the early days, right? When we saw our liquidity increasing in USDC, and then Richard Hart was often saying, floor is lava, but HEX is green and stuff. And we were saying HEX is basically built for a bear market, right? In a bear market, everybody is getting wrecked. Nobody is earning trustless yield, but the hexagons are. While everything is going down, we're just earning yield. So I'm really excited to see now how will this actually play out. We are in a bear market, it's not to deny anymore. And now I want to see my performance of HEX, like the HEX performance in the bear market. What do you guys think? What will it do?
I mean, that is true. That was a fun meme for people. Like, oh, I can't wait till the bear market. Well, we're here now. How you like it? How you all like it? Enjoy it?
Chaos at each other's throats. Yeah, it's like, welcome to your first bear market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get what you asked for.
Yeah, and I kind of my sentiment was kind of up that road is like nothing's off limits in a bear market. Like people think like gold is a safe asset. Well, last COVID dump, like everybody dumped that. Stocks, bonds, like they were correlated for the first part of this year. It's crazy.
Even oil, can you imagine, went negative. So
negative. Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, just all bets are off in a bear market. Once emotion hits, all bets are off, and it's kind of like the Wild West, and that's what we saw last night. I mean, I don't know how many popped in the HEX trading chat room. I do it for entertainment nowadays because I can't take it seriously anymore. But I mean, I took screenshots of like just shit posting, and it was just amazing. Like I did that not to make fun of anyone, but to look back in like 2 years, I think, because I did that when HEX launched. I took screenshots of it at 0.00, 0.05 or something like that.
Documenting history.
Yeah, it's just for fun, and I still have
Cabana will write a book like about HEX.
Yes.
The history about HEX.
Scrapbook.
The way to my first 5555 stake.
Yeah, but it's just like this. I was thinking as I screenshotted some of that stuff, I was like, this is the type of behavior and what you see at a bottom. Not saying it's the bottom, but it felt bottomy last night. Like people were just like yelling and be like, "Oh, I'm nuked, I'm wrecked." And once you hit that type of pain level, that's if you have dry powder, that's the key. You can keep buying, but a lot of people aren't that fortunate. So
we are proper crypto now.
I mean, it's like
initiation.
I have a question for the round.
Yeah,
I would have a nice question for the round. So now, when let's assume, the HEX price is like at 7 or maybe also at 4 cents around the fork. What does that mean for Pulse and PulseX? Does that mean that you would theoretically get like way more HEX for your Pulse and PulseX as compared to at the time when you made the sacrifice?
I mean, we don't know what the price of Pulse or PulseX like in real time is actually going to be when it when it
launches. We only have a ratio.
We only got a ratio. And if like we're in the pits of the bear market and the ratio is due to shit, then then the price isn't going to be that much better either.
Time to accumulate. Well, that's the biggest issue. People I was just watching everyone just talking about when mainnet was going to launch, how they're all going to retire, they're all going to become wealthy. Like literally at launch, it's just like you guys just haven't been through this cycle yet. Like you guys don't know how this works. It's not a light switch you just flip. It doesn't happen overnight. Like I sacrificed a fuck ton, and I'm getting ready to accumulate all the way through PulseX and PulseChain, and there's a good chance that I'll get pretty good buys along the way if we continue down this macroeconomic bear market.
You could definitely expect to potentially see the price be below whatever your sacrifice rate was. That's super possible.
Definitely on the table.
I mean, think about when we were giving up whatever coins we were giving up for the sacrifices was. I mean, Richard did a really good job of one of his theories of getting people's money out of their hands before they can get into worse projects by taking everyone's money basically at the top twice. So like there's a lot of high value assets that went into that were all converted into stables and the like. So now everything all that is worth considerably less if you did the math on it.
Last
again,
July,
you have Richard that likes to flex our performance during a bear market. When everything's going down, and he likes to promote.
Careful, Mr. DJ, you might trigger some people.
I didn't mean Louis Vuitton. I meant green candles when everything else is red.
Not today.
That's what I meant by flexing our performance. But one positive side effect to that actually also happened last night, because yes, the 140 million liquidity in HEX removed, we saw that, but at the same time also 1,000 Ethereum were removed from the Ethereum pool, and so the focus is getting more and more on the USDC side, and that is what we want. We want to be less correlated to the rest of the crypto market. So this plus PulseChain launching in a bear, I think it's good, and it has fundamentals built in, and we might just see a lot of the floor is lava and HEX and Pulse is green screenshots. So
I mean,
and also what I think was really interesting with Richard's last stream with his debate with the Eric Wall guy, where he made a thought experiment about the OA, right? Somebody in
that was
OA
the greatest.
Made 40x in Ethereum, then sold, right, and then maybe buys back 4 HEX. The price goes up like this. But the point here is that some player like this acts in the interest of the whole HEX market. So what do we? How about we see something like this again? We are in a bear market, and only HEX and PulseX is pumping like crazy, and the whole crypto market is just looking at this crazy behavior. I would love to see something like that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
I would too.
I'd love to see it, but I just don't think it's reality. I mean, what I was just saying, it's like, if it's a true bear market, all bets are off, no asset is safe. Now, I mean, HEX has seen the 90%-ish dip, okay? That's kind of good in a way, maybe, because, maybe we bought them first and, come back.
But guys, it's much more, I don't understand, it's much more simple than that. If I see a video or someone claiming that this asset will do 10x, 100x within 6 months, I need to ask, okay, who's going to buy? If we're in a bear market, global recession, people are going to choose where they're going to put their dollar towards. Maybe not PulseChain, right? So when you think about your 10x, you need to say, who's after me is going to buy? Is it the set of people that already sacrificed? Within that set, do people have enough dry powder just to push the price up beyond the initial price of these assets? And if not, if you just look at adoption, like who is gonna want to jump in and put some money? It's a big question. It's like, and people that say, hey, it's 100 HEX, they need to at least come up with some sort of evidence that they know that there is this set of buyers that will put some money in, and people just it's a supply and demand. So
no, but that is connected to what we were just saying, because it's the degen mindset. Like in spring last year, when Doge or Shiba Inu was pumping and showing these green candles, that's what people flock to. And when HEX and PulseChain are the only green ones during a bear market, it's not sustainable. It's kind of pump and dumpish, but that is what could happen, that other people join over.
To be green, you need to have a lot of people that come in, right? When HEX got started, first of all, the product was already finished, right? So there's less uncertainty for things to go wrong. And then the amount of market participants was much lower. We are looking at maybe 10,000, 20,000 people in the first few months, and then it's expanded. Then I'm talking about stakers, right? Maybe holders is a bit slightly different. So
no, but you're right. So you're right. It was like a little over 10,000 people, like in the beginning.
Yeah, it's very small, very small. So but for person, the expectation is much larger. So the opportunity is smaller, right? I understand, you may have some adoption from the folks auto-onboarded from Ethereum. I don't want to seem negative here, but if we're in a bear market, where is the net dollar amount coming to the space? And people need to come up with some sort of like a reasonable assumption that people are going to put that money there for some.
But I think a lot will come from the PulseX people, because the PulseX, the amount of wallets sacrificed for PulseX were like double in size than
3
for
times.
PulseChain. So people missed out on PulseChain. They only found out about PulseChain when the PulseX sacrifice was going on. So I think they want to buy some PulseChain.
How many people sacrificed for
it was like
600 versus 1,100 wallets. I think.
What? No, million. It was like 700 million versus 1.1 million.
Yeah, not
and it was
600 wallets.
42,000
versus
1,000
number of
wallets
wallets.
versus 1,100,000 wallets.
How many wallets?
600,000.
I think it was 125,000 versus like 80,000, something like that. So there's about 45,000 more wallets.
Yeah, so
50%
it's
no more.
it's a reasonable assumption to say that if for PulseX more people sacrifice than for PulseChain, and you could say, well, some of them may have tried to compensate for it and sacrifice most of the stacks they wanted to allocate for any of these projects, and they're gonna use it like that. And so then when the other one comes in, maybe they want to rebalance the portfolio. They're gonna sell PulseX just to be positioned on the other one, right? My question is like the net dollar amount on top of what people already sacrificed. Where is that money coming from?
It's gonna dry up in a bear market.
Yep.
And if people are afraid, I'm sorry, guys. I don't want to be too negative there, but you need to be realistic about, hey, if you're saying that people are gonna make 10x, 100x within the first 6 months, not in a bear market. It's very unlikely. Unless the product, the chain works so flawlessly, the number of people building dApps on top of it, you have a vibrant ecosystem flourishing really quickly, that could be the play. But I don't know. I'm a bit more realistic and contrarian to what most people say. So
yeah, I'm just thinking about the opportunity here, because a lot of people, before we really dipped into this bear, were very bullish on PulseChain, PulseX. I am long-term bullish on both, but you also have to think about the opportunity here. So a lot of people, crypto retired and stuff like that. Now's the time to keep that, income stream flowing, because if you it could be a life-changing opportunity all over again, just like HEX was. HEX had a dip after launch. I mean, until Godwill came along and, we were set off after that. PulseChain, especially, in my opinion, but yeah, PulseX too. Motley's been saying it, and I'm slowly coming around to his way of thinking that this could be a more bearish scenario than what we were thinking, I guess, a few months ago. Yep. This could be a life-changing opportunity in these two assets to get in on the ground level at or right near it. You never know. So,
but you're gonna have to put it. You're gonna have to put in your time, and you're gonna have to keep grinding to be able to have the dry powder to put into that opportunity. It comes at a cost. You're gonna have to work for it.
It's just a matter of perspective. You might see, okay, what I'm saying as bearish, but actually, if you're an investor, you say, well, I got more time of purchasing the asset at a sale. So you need to be look at the
you're
the
fudding,
glass.
guys.
It's not fudding, DJ.
You're fudding, and look at the HEX price. We just dumped down another penny.
It's being realistic and getting their mindset right for this, so they know what to expect. Like this is a real possibility of what's to come. Like it could get a lot uglier before it gets better.
I mean, it's so much easier to say.
Yeah, bullish, flowers, moon, mansions, all that stuff. It's easier, and that's what people want is the hopium. But if you don't get them prepared for the alternative, it's going to be that much worse when we arrive to that point. And so you have to give them the other side. You have to be realistic of what a possibility to come is where we go into a potentially even multi-year bear market. Like this shit's no joke. Last cycle, we went almost 3-4 years. It takes a long time to get out of these things.
Well, what is the last cycle you're talking about?
Back
the top happened January 2018, and HEX was launched at basically the bottom 2019.
December 19.
December 2019. So
2 years.
That was a year.
Yeah,
and
in 2018 there was like the the 5x pump in the middle of the.
Yeah, I mean, like that's another thing to
OneCoin, the
remember.
Ponzi that and then dumped again.
Yeah, but
whether it
still,
be
Bitcoin
one
made
coin
a
or
5x.
otherwise. I mean, anything could. The further oversold we get, the bounces are in the game. We could have a good bounce anywhere along the way. So I mean, but that doesn't mean that the bear market was over then.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not guaranteeing any 10x, 100x, or whatever, but just from the conversations that I had with PulseX investors on the sideline, a lot of them missed out on PulseChain. They just didn't know about it, and they want to get into that. And same as with PulseX, gives you all this liquidity, this farming opportunities. I think people definitely want to play around with that, and there is a lot of interest and momentum.
Are they bringing?
I don't know about multipliers, but
are they bringing new capital to the ecosystem, or are they just getting ready to dump the bags they already have?
Why give up all of your PulseX bag? That doesn't.
People will do it.
You're not locked. You're not locked in. You're not locked in like in X. In X, people it was like so much fewer people coming in, and a subset of them were sticking for a long time, right? That maybe saved and was the reason why X appreciated so fast. Is a lot of people cannot sell.
100% was.
Is completely different for these two new tokens that people will be selling if they can because they can sell.
Yep.
And look how emotional. 100%. Like this is a prime example of how emotional people get if they like. And we saw this throughout HEX, and like Stef just said, it was literally the code, the locking feature that probably saved a lot of those people and enabled them to realize a much greater wealth than what they would have if they had access to those tokens the whole time. And that's what I've been saying from the jump starters. PulseChain and PulseX is a whole different beast. Like if you haven't been able to harden yourself through these cycles before, like you're going to be in a rude awakening when you have access to those coins. You're probably not going to end up anywhere near as good as you would have been if it had a locking feature like HEX did. So that's why we've emphasized so much that people get their minds right and understand what potentially can come, and not the optimistic side, but what could all the like the death, turmoil, bear market, all the nasty stuff no one wants to talk about, so they can steal themselves and not get rid of their coins for cheap, because it's coming and you don't have the actual code saving you from yourself and your poor decisions at that time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who sacrificed almost a year ago and were expecting this to be a 60-day process or something, that they physically need whatever money that is because they overextended themselves at that point in time. I mean, like there's just no way there isn't people in that situation. So like, I mean, you're gonna feel some serious sell pressure if it's worth anything out the gate, because people have waited long enough in a lot of people's minds, I'm sure.
And welcome to the chat, Helgo, the goat. So HEX is best thing of all my life. Yes. Thank you for that input. And Big K. I mean, we talked about it last year, like late last summer, and you were like, "Hey, man, imagine once that sacrifice phase is done." I would think Richard had better have PulseChain ready, because there's going to be a lot of angry people. Here we are.
We were all hopeful. We were all hopeful, ironically, except for probably Stef. Stef's like, guys, software's hard.
I've been on record. I've been chatting privately to Richard himself. He comes, last year to me and Fireburn, sharing early on his plan. Okay, my users are getting wrecked because of Ethereum, the gas fees. I told everybody that if I'm not satisfied, we're gonna move over to our own system state. What she did, I was like, maybe Ethereum will scale. You have layer 2s, and he said like, fuck it, I don't believe these guys. I'm going to go ahead and build my own chain. Like, okay, this is ballsy. Why not? But I told him. So I've been releasing, for a large company, releasing project to the world to billions of users, and I said, well, it's not as easy of copying the code, right? It's like 7 products that you're gonna have to put together: the block explorer, a bridge, the chain itself, and you need to have all this suite of tools, eventually an on-ramp if the bridge is not sufficient enough. So I said it's a huge project, Richard, right? It's not it's way past the scope of X, right? And I mean, he did a good job because he can fork a lot of things and making modification at the margin. But I told him, like, I'd be surprised if he can launch before Christmas. I was right. Okay. So I'm not surprised. Like, it's a huge project. With
You won that one for sure.
Hey, welcome, Funding Jim. How are you doing?
Doing amazing.
Hey, Gary.
Been very peaceful this past week. Of course, people are talking about HEX and PulseChain and the doom and gloom of the planet, but I think that they live in Western worlds too much. Like, you need to get out there where people are actually productive with their time. I'm in Colombia right now, and I really, really appreciate the people here. It's amazing. So I'm in a tranquil state of mind. I don't know if everybody else is.
Yeah, with such backdrop behind you, it's like we can understand why.
I was just about to say, your backdrop looks exactly like the area that I'm looking at as well. So this is pretty cool. And you already made it public. Like, tomorrow we will stream with Gary. Like, this will be an interesting stream on KSB2D. Just want to drop that bomb here really quick.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. It'll be a nice hangout. Like, I made a couple of streams the past couple of days, and it really has been kind of back to the roots of HEX. The origin of HEX. What were you doing in 2019? What were you actively engaged in, excited about? What were you looking forward to? The Telegram rooms that everybody in this room was in part of. Everybody in here was part of the Telegram rooms. And, the launching phase, looking forward to it. This, to me, coming from real estate, build it yourself, cabinet building, things like that, farming culture, that's my background. The idea that you could affect the price as early as we were in this organization, in this group, by commenting on sound money principles, or be productive and put some of that away in a savings account. This is a new form of a savings account. The things that fall on deaf ears, sadly, are don't put more in than you can afford, don't gamble, don't trade, all that kind of stuff. That's really the origin of this group, and the origin, alignment of the design of the products, because we all put input into what Richard Hart was going to develop. All of us did. We all had commentary in there when he was saying, this, give me some metrics on what happened in gold, what happened in silver, give me some metrics on what's the average payout of a CD in different countries, things like that. We all participated in that conversation. And so we actually designed, in a lot of ways, the product, participated at least in those idea farms. And we were the first hungry for it, right? And, that's the big thing is, I'm going to make a video later. I like Alex on crypto. I think he's a nice guy. I think his personality is affable, reasonable. He is a trader. That is his business. His business
this is Lorenzo,
model,
right?
Yeah, his business model is trading. That's his model for his personal income, is getting in and getting out of marketplaces and promoting of coins. And I don't think he's as horrible as Tone Vase or BitBoy or something like that. I think that he brings some value statements that are worthwhile. So I don't really I'm not completely negative on him. I like him, and I hope to do a stream with him in the future. But it is, to me, my position is, there's code that rewards you for staking. It rewards you with more HEX, right? Here's a great opportunity. It's 4 cents, 3 cents, 2 cents. If it goes further down, it's 15 cents, 20 cents, $50, $2 if it goes up. You always have that reward. The price is what the price is going to be based on the sentiment of the market and the participants at any given time. But you always have ROI in HEX. That's really the point of the coin. That's the design. So, the stuff I want to make content about over 2022, 23, 24, the years that I'm staked and involved, and the years after I'm staked or not involved or whatever, it's still going to be sound money principles. Build something of merit, build your brand, build your reputation, show your integrity, participate in this community. That's what I love about it. My rant.
Well, you brought up an interesting point about return on investment and getting HEX back. So it's not all about price appreciation. So I wanted to bring this up because it's an interesting chart, and Dipcatcher posted it on Twitter earlier. But so his thesis, I guess, was, what if, people who did not get out in this last dip, every, price rise, they try to use that to escape. So his thinking was, and this chart shows, and he completely admitted like the lines were random, but showing, say towards 2024 that HEX can resume upwards trajectory because people are thinking, oh my gosh, I'm in, I'm out. What can I get out of this? And, selling down every price ramp. So getting, of course, staked along the way, and you're getting paid coins. But is there any thoughts out there on this particular thesis or chart? I can't see this happening, especially if we finally resume bull, maybe in 2023, or Bitcoin resumes bull. It's going to take everything with it, and I think this thesis gets broken. But if we are in a prolonged recession, like perhaps Motley's been saying, it could happen. Maybe something like this could play out. Do we see, sub nickel HEX for like a year? Anybody out there?
Well, I don't want to dominate. I do want to say that market cycles happen in every asset, and they happen because they have option to liquidate at a fire sale, at a loss, at a short. They have options, right? You can lock yourself into real estate because you had a purchase price and entrance cost. You can short sale your property and get out of it because you can't make the bills anymore, whether it's you or your tenants, or something changes about your geography or something, the factory shuts down or something like that. So you have options to enter and exit, and you're going to see these kinds of cycle charts. That's why I really don't. The business of in and out. That is who gets rich. The business in cryptos is specifically because it moves so quickly on emotion. Yeah, I don't know about the 5 cent chart. I really don't pay attention to it, honestly. I think that that people are hungry for something sound. They're hungry for a politician that is sound. They're hungry for an investment that's sound. They're hungry for a job or a family relationship that's sound. People are looking for something sound, and the best thing I can present to them is HEX.
Any other thoughts around the room on this particular thesis, that we could have, sub dime HEX for a prolonged period of time?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm more bullish on that, so I would put maybe 15% chance of that happening.
I'm with you, Stef. Good. But there are some who agreed with this chart on Twitter. So, yeah, it's an interesting thought. I mean, and we've discussed this on the show probably months and months ago, but the thought, not this soon, but one day, perhaps 10 years from now, HEX reaching a, consistent price, and then it becomes a steady yield earner at that point.
Yeah.
But nothing, I can't say.
I disagree on that. So I see the HEX price like volatile forever. So I don't see any like kind of a stable HEX price or something like that. It will
not
always
even 10,
be
15 years from now.
No, not even 10, 15 years from now, because even in 10, 15 years, there might be an idiot who thinks he needs to sell like over 100 million market right now.
You're saying
but the volatility like decreases with the adoption, right? You see that in all market. The more they mature, the more participant, the more liquidity it gets brought in, and it's
it gets reduced, but it doesn't say that we don't see like 20% candles either upwards or downwards in 10, 15 years.
Yeah, for sure. It's not
of course,
sure.
of course, no. But I mean, even stable. I mean, even the dollar.
Yeah, if you talk about stability, you're talking about a price range plus minus 1%, right? That's like a stable price for me.
I don't think he meant that stable. I think he meant like the position that Bitcoin's in these days, where the amount of economic mass it takes to do a simple 2x is quite a lot. And because Bitcoin's essentially reached the top of the S curve of adoption, where it's pretty much peaked out. And so like, yeah, is it stable? No, not really. But like in the sense of like what we're in crypto for, these kind of life-changing gains, Yeah, it's more or less, I would say,
I
stabilized.
guess
a
it's
lot.
too stable to the upside. Yeah, okay, I agree on that.
Let me speak with Crypto Sparrock for a moment. So, are you may or may not be aware? I think that Patrick is, but I don't know that aBit is because he might be searching about the real estate market in Colombia. Why is the real estate market in Colombia very stable? It's extremely stable. It's because 96% of the property is actually owned. It's not leveraged. You don't have that many loans here. You don't have, commercial properties and things
Yeah,
like that.
and the loans are like highly expensive as well.
They are very expensive, and that might have some other economic reason about why they're expensive. But they also means that people aren't compelled to sell. They actually might entertain putting their house on the market, but wait a year to 2 years for that price that they ask for to be realized. They're not actually pushing
That's true, yeah.
the narrative for price, right? And the United States is quite different. The United States, we do hyper leverage every single thing. We take a loan against everything, secured, unsecured. What our pension is going to be. We are always in a leveraged position. So when something changes, we it's not what we want to sell that we sell. It's what we have to sell that we sell. That's the position. So if HEX has this, long and steady climb, if you want to call it that. I just like the narrative. I think that's what attracted me to it. That's what attracted me to gold and silver years ago. And that didn't play out because when things hit the fan, people aren't pulling out Spanish doubloons to trade at the grocery store. It's not liquid enough in a lot of ways. And I do like crypto in that it is borderless. It's not as difficult to move through different gates. I don't know. But again, real estate as a like when they say, real estate in California never goes down. Well, the nominal price is always going to go up. There's all kinds of mechanisms about why price goes up. It's often hyper printing, of our economy.
Seeing comments in the chat, Mango Junkies, like my first stake comes out in May of 2024. LB19, my first stake comes out in 2025. A lot of people are staked out this way, and that's really the way to do it. That's how the product was designed to. That was not me, but yeah, that's how the product was designed, and these people who are staked this way don't have to really go over the chart, minute by minute as people whose stakes are coming out right around now. I think right around now is actually the 2.5 year mark to where it was modeled after Ethereum's price chart gain or whatever. And we're right at that point. So to think how many people staked out to about this month, 2.5 years after the inception of HEX, probably a decent amount. So now we're washing those out who can't take it anymore, and those who can't take it are perhaps maybe taking a little off. And
The one that
restaking
are not
further out.
staked. Yeah, because if you stake, if the weighted average, or we should actually be computing the median, a bit more interesting in terms of like the distribution of different participants in the ecosystem. You would, even if the median is a bit lower, around 4 or 5 years, what do you care if you're on average locked in about the price, within the next few years, right? I might understand you might want to take a bit of profit, along the way, but if the average is that low and people are complaining, the people that complain are people that are not staked. If you staked and staked for a long time, the weighted average for staker users is 11 years. We haven't seen any messages in the support chat over the past few years, anyone complaining about the price, right? And is there even no coin out there? Because their time preference is so low that they're in there for 10 years, so they don't care about the short term. Maybe they do care. It's not pleasant maybe to see your portfolio, paper portfolio being down, but the most noise we see on social media and the whining may be coming from people currently liquid and not fully staked. That tells you a lot, right? About
people projecting usually.
That's what I was saying about any market. If you want to play ticker games, play it in stock. Play it in intangibles. There's all kinds of options to play ticker games, and that's chart action. That's what I mean. Again, I know it's part of the ecosystem. I know there's a whole business model around getting people in, and that actually brings more people in. Many become meat fodder and ground up by in and out trades, chopped up, so to speak. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of ways to make money. The noble one in my position is still the HEX product.
Yeah, so making notes of a few comments in here. I wanted to go back to this one. So Piston Broke 555 added me, and the comment was, and I think perhaps a lot of us feel this. Many of us Hexkins who on-ramped our friends at 20, 30, 40 cents feel really bad and responsible right now. I'm with you. I did not onboard as high as 30 or 40. Onboarded a couple at 20, and I'm fine with my bags because I can handle that myself. I made that decision. When you want to introduce somebody else to what you feel is a great product, and it doesn't perform right out of the gate, you have a dip soon after. That I'm competitive in the sense that I want to do good things for people, and I want to introduce them to great products and assets. Sometimes it doesn't go your way, especially with investments. Sometimes it takes longer to play out. And I think, it's like a management game. Your heart's in the right place, but at the same time, it's like, man, that sucks, because you want, them to succeed and then other people to succeed after that, not for your personal interest really, but, to help, your friends and loved ones and things like that. So, Piston Broke 5555. I feel that, some responsibility there, but it's part of the game too. It's like anything that, financial, you recommend or try to help people with, there's always risk involved. But I'll just toss around the room if anybody wants to chime in with any onboard stories with, be like, hey, my onboards are great. Some of mine are fantastic and happy because they got more levels. But others, around the 20 cent mark, they're like, "Oh man, I'm telling you shit."
I've got a very, very good one. Old friend of mine I had not seen for 15 years. Reached out to me when I came back to Paris. Hey, I'm just building a crypto business. We're looking to delay people's gratification with this new system. He was an coiner, right? He jumped on board. He loves it. The price goes up. It was last summer, right? Around the PulseChain price. Price goes up. And he has a huge, I don't want to dox him, but he has a huge network of colleagues. And within 3 months, he has like 30 people onboarded. I was like, what? You're killing it. And 50 people. And he has his own WhatsApp group. And most of them are no coiners. So a lot of them are buying like at 40 cents, 50 cents. And I told him back then, it's like, well, I hope that people, are just not here for a quick flip. I would suggest that, maybe they actually delayed gratification and stack for a few years, right? Or put some ladders in. And now, he's reaching out to me. It's like, oh, I got all these, 40 guys, 50 guys in pain because of the situation. And the worst is not so much someone that, or loved one that's buying the bottom. The worst is for them to buy the bottom and sell, buy the top and sell the bottom. Yeah, sell the bottom. That's the worst, right? So the staking mechanism is fantastic to help people against themselves.
And that's the most important part is the staking mechanism. Sorry, but I just want to get in this real quick. I made sure they were all staked out for years, so they're still good on that end. No quick flip or anything like that. They still have the right mindset. Obviously the near-term price action sucks, but at the same time, they are earning the yield. So yeah, sorry, Big K, go ahead.
I mean, that was basically what I was going to say. Is everybody I start with, I'm like, man, start like don't even like a year minimum, like, and you can just explain it to people, just like. But before I could explain it to people with the gas fees, I was like, you're just going to kill yourself in gas fees. Anything less than that, anyways, even if you don't want it, you're not all that into delayed gratification. That was, but I mean, that was definitely something I pushed to everybody. I mean, I loved Freddie Quotes had something he said recently where he's like, I tell every one of my onboards, this shit goes down 90% and don't call me when it does.
Yeah,
So they can call them at 93%. Like, wait a minute.
No, but the beauty of HEX, man, I thought this is a happy hour. I feel like I'm at a funeral tonight. The beauty of HEX is the APY, right? So anybody that gets in now and stakes, let's say $1,000 worth of HEX, gets the same APY on that HEX as a day one hexagon from 2 years ago, and that is the main message that people should be going out to the onboards with, and this is way better than.
I'm sorry to say that, but that's
any
not
banking
true.
product.
It's not entirely true. Yes, you do get less. Like if you do a 5.5555 stake now, you'll definitely get less APY than anybody first year because of big payday for sure, but also because
Okay,
of
the big payday. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, the benefit for the early ones is the X, is the price appreciation on top of that, but just from the
also
daily
just from
payout
the
on
APY perspective, because right now you would need way more HEX to acquire the same amount of T-shares that like a staker who staked his HEX 1 or 2 years ago has.
This is true. I mean, but like on their smaller amount, they can like what you mean though is that the on average percentage, they still can get a very outsized return for staking long. I mean, it's just like I think now you can get just around 30% if you do long stakes, but I don't think you can get to 38%. That's more like that's
5 stakes starts like a little below that, and over time it gets there, because over time a 5.55 stake always gets you more return on investment as the total T-share pool gets smaller.
So can you explain that in an APY type of calculator? Is there an APY calculator that you look at, or do you say that it's a curve that because you're going 5.55 out, then you can get the 38 or whatever the top peak might be, even as a new start?
Well,
is that what you're saying?
You can model it, but you can't really calculate it because it's based on each days of everyone's like the interactions with the contract, So
there is like the comment, like the APY with the maximal stake is 32%. So what would you get? Like 31%, something like that. If you
maybe a nice way
to 31.
Maybe a nice way to visualize it, Gary, is like, let's say you have maybe some early investors that stake for 5.55, the Quattro Cinco, right? They lock a certain T-share, expert T-share, and someone else, comes 1 year later and just they want to compete, right, to get more of the yield being generated by the smart contracts. So they also go to the max lengths. They get a T-share, less advantageous the previous one. But what happens over time is the people having short-term stake, right? They're coming out of the pool. And now they either cash out, do something else, or even restake further, and they need to compete with the one that did the second stake, right? So over time, your APY, if you have a long stake, should climb up a little bit, right? But it also depends on the other market participants. So it's not a clear cut, right? It depends what people do.
Yeah, just going through comments in the chat.
Yeah, maybe we should just explain how the APY in HEX works. So the general APY in HEX works that it combines all the stakers into one pool. So also the stakers who staked at the first day or at the first month in the first year, and also everybody who stakes like today or yesterday. And that is this average of the 38%, that means that if you stake now HEX for the average staking length, you get less than the average APY, because over time your personal APY is rising as well for a longer time frame, let's say like 5 years more, and that's why you still might end up with a 30% average APY after your 6.6 year stake or something like that we are right now, but it won't show you in the beginning.
And then there's also the fees that we are accumulating, right? Somebody who's making a stake right now just hasn't had the fees in the past, and we already had them.
That's true. That's another one of the things that you can't really calculate. Like Stef said, like I really am still blown away to this day every time the bot goes off and tells me that somebody just nuked 100,000 hex or some crazy, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, wow. So I that isn't like something that was another thing that I don't think we all intended to be as oftenly used as it has been. That's for sure.
The last 10 days, it was like 30 million hex in penalties, paid out to all.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand some. I've seen a bunch of. So over the past couple months or so, over this the last 20 so odd days, I've noticed that there has been some people that have pulled out stakes early that like get returned though. That like some of them right at the halfway mark. They're like getting their principal back out.
It all depends if you're like before big payday or after. All the stakes which are like before the big payday will lose at least the big payday bonus.
Well, you'll lose all the big payday bonus for sure.
Yeah.
You also may have some speculator that say maybe when PulseChain's delay was first announced, okay, that price gonna dump 50%, 70% from that point, from these 15 cents. They may have said, well, what is worse for me, right? I may get some penalties if I'm unstaking now, but can I get them back by speculating and getting a lower price on the X if I'm assuming the price is going to be dumping a lot?
Yeah,
right? So you may have some people speculating a lot, right? A lot of things may,
you don't want to do, if anybody, I've done some of that math. You don't want to do the math on what you would have had if you EES some of your stakes and sold the very top. You'd be like, you do that math, you're like, oh.
That's the thing about it. Like you said, if you're
I'm just glad to have the
in the
stakes.
commentary field, if you're selling subscriptions, if you have people that are paying you effectively to do the research and spend your life looking at charts, then that's a business model for you, and it may be worthwhile to provide that research. But to entice people to do that on a daily basis, it does wreck, and I think it wrecks emotion, relationships. I think it wrecks your focus on anything else that can be productive. I agree with Richard's sentiment about you're looking through one computer at another person on the other side of a virtual computer, and you're trying to take each other's money. And I don't think that that's very productive use of your time, your intellect. So as much as the what ifs, I had EES'd and gotten out at what I thought was the top. Why did you think it was the top? What was the reason? Why did you think it's the bottom? How did you have enough information to make that quote unquote educated decision based on sentiment other people are saying too, right? So, I mean, it's just like, how much of your time do you want to put toward it, right? I thought this was really a set it and forget it kind of investment plan. I love Stef's product. It is one of those, a new form of program to me. That's why I like it. I'm happy to advocate and put time toward it, and brand or energy or resource to get the message out. But that's completely different than saying, here's a chart you could have been in, here's the dip, here's what rhymes similar to what happened before in a different cycle. I really don't want to participate in that stuff. I did that before.
Gary, to your point, that's why you need, people want to be entertained, they want to play, right? So if before let's say you were just looking at HEX and you're locked in, now you look at the price, your mind starts thinking about these what if scenarios. If you get them another game to play, let's say you're now part of a competition of sea animals within leagues and you're climbing up, it's a different kind of game. So people, it's just a matter of like perspective. You get them to play a different kind of game, and that was the premise of what we started with. We're going to amplify this kind of incentive in the next version of the product. But yeah, you need to find some other way to do the storytelling to get people to play a different kind of game. It's not easy, right? You need to put a lot of thought into what motivates people, how they do it, how you engage them over time. So yeah, I wish more people were just trying to let people play different kind of games than the trading games. But it's like incentive, right? If you're a YouTuber right now, you get just more views if you just pull up Trading View and saying, hey, I'm drawing a line on the chart, and that gets views, right? Whether you want it or not, it's a bit unfortunate. So I'm yeah, I would be welcoming more people in the community being creative and say, hey, what kind of games on top of T-shares we can put together so for people to acquire more of them.
Would you have some games in mind or ideas?
We already have a couple of them. Yeah, we can't do everything, guys. We know we're just a small
Yeah,
team
sure.
of 4 people. We are 90,000 plus takers, but we have a couple of ideas. But my call here is to encourage people not to rely on me, on my team to do things. We're all sharing the load here, and I'm sure any of you guys have skill sets that are very interesting, complementary. So just brainstorm. Come into a room. Instead of we've been talking a lot about the price early on and speculating about who's doing what and why they're selling. To Gary's point, we could have spent that time brainstorming about new games, right?
And one new game you already invented, you mentioned it, is the Staker app League. And you guys, I don't know if you have the same experience as me, but I gained about 5 places in the last couple of days by just not selling, right?
Don't dox yourself. Don't dox yourself. Because you could say,
what I'm saying is, be staked out than anybody else, right? And you're already winning because now you earn more HEX every single day that you are staked out longer than everybody. So the staking mechanism really is perfect. But the league system, I think, is wonderful because it gives the people something to look at, and now they see, okay, this is my position. I want to have the better position. I need to get this financial energy right. I need to put it in HEX or something like this, right? So it really incentivizes the staking behavior. I love that.
Yeah, and I did not invent it, right? I thought, it's what happens in most markets. People try to make connection between different ideas. Like, what if I was merging this with that and, refurbishing the whole concept? So I used to be a gamer working in a game called League of Legends, right? So I'm a highly competitive person. I was playing to the game to the highest level in Europe when I was in my early 20s. And so I came to the conclusion that, okay, very early on, it was like January of 2020, that what can we do to help people think about what is the most important element of the mechanism with all the shares. People at the time didn't know about shares. Right? I was always thinking about how to gamify them. And because I was playing that game, so, okay, we could have some sort of a league. It should be dynamic because I don't want to have to maintain the ordering, so we can make that sustainable over time. So I don't need to be involved in the ranking itself. And then I just fused that with this concept of animals, because in the cryptocurrency, it's common knowledge, or even other market, is to call the largest buyer a whale. So I say, okay, let's decline that into different leagues. And that was just me forking ideas from different concepts, bringing them together, right? And so not that much.
Still a great idea. It was still a great idea.
It seems to be sticky. People like it, right? They put the emoji on their Twitter handle. I'm a turtle, or I want to be there, or I lost three or earn 5 places in the ladder. But yeah, I think there's more stuff like that we could be doing. But it requires focus and just implementation.
Can I also ask Stef a question, Cabana?
Heck yeah, man! I have a small list, but I might have missed
real quick
a couple.
one.
I was out, but go ahead.
Real quick one. I sacrificed a little bit for PulseChain through the Staker app.
Mm-hmm.
How is that going? Like, when coins, sir? Like, how is that going to be done when PulseChain goes live? Is that a separate app for just the PulseChain side of things, or how is that going to work?
So,
if you can say that in 3 sentences.
Yeah, so we're about to do testing for the new version of the app. We support multi-chains, right? We have like a working version where we can switch from one chain to the other. We've been testing that internally for a couple of weeks already. So what happens, and we consulted with Richard very early on, say, hey, do you see any challenges about having a smart wallet contract instead of a regular address for delivering tokens? They said, like, no, it should be fine. If they sacrifice from a given address, they will be granted the same amount of token any address would. So what would happen from your application? You will be able to have some sort of a drop down where you can select the chain you want to observe, a different portfolio. And so you will see your tokens. We have additional functions to bridge these tokens. If you want to bridge them back to Ethereum or on the other way around, it will be there. But yeah, the same function you have in the app will be there. It's just you'll be able to select a different chain, basically.
like MetaMask in a way. Oops, not say the word. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, it'll be slightly better in the sense that it'll be you don't have to deal with RCP connection or all the jazz, right? It's just really a drop down where we handle all of the complexity. We abstract that away for users. So yeah, much simpler.
Cool. Sounds good. I yield.
Steph, I jotted down a couple questions, and sorry if you may have touched on them while I was away real quick. But
I don't want to hijack. I don't want to hijack the.
Oh, go ahead. No, but I mean, a lot of people ask this, so I figured I would. And you're the first time, on here, so I wanted to ask you a couple things. I've seen this one. This is a popular one. So a lot of people, the quickest chart that they get, they just whip out their phone and they go to the Staker app and they screenshot it and they post it. And I think the only complaint that is like the wicks on that chart. So will there be exactly? Well, is that being fixed or updated? Is that in the pipeline, in the works?
Yeah. So we grew the team. We have a person special like refurbish our infrastructure just to support multi-chain data. It's not only the supporting what the app can do, but also all the indexing, the prices. We might be actually at launch one of the sole provider of prices for PulseX, right? Visual interface beyond the website itself, like PulseX. You will see all the prices that you get. Let's say on Depth of Vision, you will also get the prices for Pulse. So that's going to be interesting. And for the Wix, the Wix issue, since the liquidity got moved from V2 to V3, we had hard-coded a couple of things in the app where that prevented us to quickly adjust to that reality. And so not only we're learning from that mistake, we're making things a bit more flexible in the backend, so we won't be constrained to liquidity move in the future. But also, we're fixing the underlying issue. The question we've been playing with last week was, what is the fair representation of the price when you merge prices across different indexes, like V1, V2, V3, right? Based on liquidity, volume, but you don't want people to gamify that. So we came up with a couple of very interesting heuristics to get a fair price across, weighted by liquidity or liquidity, volume, and time.
Do you know how TradingView does it, for example?
So I think they're just indexing on maybe one of the different decks. I'm not really privy to their mechanism, but if you look at the way when you select the pair in TradingView, they give you I think a contract address there. That should be, I think, the pool that they're referring to. I believe so. But we'll do something a bit cooler just to avoid manipulation or wixes down the line. What else can I share? Not only we're gonna have embedded view of like TradingView within the app via Depth of Vision, but we also have like a more user-friendly representation of the price. Like a list, a line chart, which is a bit more friendly for people that don't know how to read candlestick, right? So we're thinking about the different market, right? The more advanced players and the people, the no-coiners not knowing how to read a chart. Something a bit more like Robinhood in a sense, right?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
If it's fresh on your mind, go ahead and say your question. You got anything?
Will Stake also offer the option to provide liquidity for PulseX, for example, or to validate the Pulse or stake the PulseX?
Yeah, so this is the set of function that we're adding with these are the new things, multi-chain support, but also the ability to delegate your Pulse to different validators. So providing liquidity, staking the liquidity to get the rewards token. So all the core basic things that people will want, we'll be supporting that. And a couple of weeks later, we'll be supporting kind of what we call generic transaction, where we don't need to be involved if people want to transact, interact with any smart contract. So they'll be able to be very independent. It's going to be a bit more advanced for people, but at least they can, a bit like what you can do with Etherscan, where you can call, the smart contract from there with a different function. We'll have that ability as well in the product. Yeah. Sorry, I will take maybe Gary's question, and I don't want to hijack the stream, so we can move on to something else than
so I'm fine with a subscription model. I think you said things that like, the free version, maybe in the future there might be a subscription model that has more tools, anything like that. I would love that kind of stuff, because the commentary that I see that I feel like I'm competing with in the crypto market is the TA guy, or the one that says, look, this is it's going to Bitcoin dominance now. This chart is telling us that alt season's over, and now we're going into Bitcoin. Everything's consolidating, and then people want to move from Bitcoin narrative of store of value to here comes altcoin season. Get ready, get ready. Here's the next 5 gems. That's what's played out in my time in crypto since 2017, and I would like the product of staker or other, but staker preferably, to be able to offer counter, but about the RH ecosystem. And what I mean by that is, if I want to drop in an address, what's been interesting when people like Silver the Antidote or Crypto Sparbach or other people make commentary about, look, this is what this big address is doing. The LP just pulled 140 million and then they market sold and they went against themselves. That's the narrative we end up putting out there to make us either feel better about it's an opportunity, or to feel worse, or whatever it is. And I would love to see something where the address, I could drop in an address, especially when people are flashing all this stuff of what they've got staked, 100% staked, and millions of dollars worth of HEX, and they're committed, that kind of thing. They like to do that. They like to post that. It's a status flex, right? But I would like to see that if I drop an address in, I want to see how much PulseChain that they have, how much PulseX they have, how much HEX they have, what is their staking ratios, what is their validator? They've got this amount validating, or this amount, in LP pool. I would like to have a more robust picture of at least the whales. And I don't know if that's worthwhile for you to build out unless it's a subscription model. But those kind of tools help me, and I think help a lot of Hexicans when it comes to the narrative of everything else in crypto, which is meme coin, price go up, price go down, traders get wrecked. I'm trying to counter that with your kind of tool.
Yeah, so we've discussed quite a lot, and I think maybe not the first iteration, but we'll have a lot of series of things that it's not editorial per se, but we'll just be providing some color of what's happening on a different account. For example, someone has been doing a lot of trading. What we could surface very high level is just displaying the fact, but we choose which fact we display. Like that person did 25 trades in the past 30 days, right? So we might just have a tag there against, you see the feed of different players. We might just add a tag saying trader or long-term staker, right? So you get some color about different individuals. You can export their profile. Instead of like copying the address, entering it, you might just be able from the feed to export their profile directly. Do we pay for that, or we just provide for free? We want to be able to provide as much as possible for free. That's the philosophy, right? And things that maybe very computationally intensive for servers that has a cost, maybe we'll just put that behind maybe a premium product or whatever. But as much as possible, we try to provide as much data, analytical data for free, because this is where where the game or the margin can be played, right? It's like how much data do you have about who does what on the market. It's also actually good for education, because now you can see, well, does a trader on average, do better than a staker, right? And it's also kind of things that we're going to put in system. That guy is a little tag trader, and we can see, on average, his stack seems to be depleted over time, while the staker is just earning more tokens. That's the kind of thing that we want to put in a system, so people by themselves, they come to the conclusion that, hey, maybe staking is better than trading over time.
Another thing is if you end up, or Firebun or anybody in your group ends up being validator inside of Pulse or any other kind of tool where it may not be a subscriber, but we can at least support the projects that you might have in mind. But some of it takes obviously development time, takes thoughtfulness, and ruminating over what best serves the community. And you've done really great about that from the beginning. Yes, it's a business model. Staker app has to be profitable to be worthwhile for you guys to build out and bring on new faces. So if there's different mechanisms other than subscribership that big or small.
There's different things. There's there's fees, there's subscriptions, there's a utility token that gives some rewards to some users. We have a couple of ideas, but right now we don't want to rush. I think the first thing that we made is like, hey, can we prove that there's interest in is there more product market fit? There's interest. There's more people wanting to share the application, even if it's not perfect and far to be perfect. Now that we validated that, I think the V2 brings up a bit more freshness, robustness. We have a lot of security updates also that will come very soon. But it's tough because we were doing some planning last summer, And then Richard comes up with PulseChain, so we had to change all of the roadmap for the product. So people can say, yeah, when V2 was like, yeah, we had just launched V1 like 4 months before, so we don't want to rush it. We want quality for our users, and we'll keep indexing on quality versus rushing it or asking for money in a sacrifice when there's no product, right? When we've seen many actors, I'm not blaming them, but this is a common behavior. People ask for money before delivering something. Try to gain reputation, show that you can do something, then maybe you can ask for something.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gary
That's
Vaynerchuk
it.
talks about that a lot. He does say a lot about give, and then you've got the reputation, and you've given away so much value that the ask, after 7 or 8 iterations of give is worthwhile. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. Thanks
Shout
for your
out
question,
to
guys.
Bob, the guy there. Yeah, I think I pretty much got through your section, Steph. While you're talking on everything, don't feel like you're taking over anything, because again, first time on, and people have plenty of questions here. Staker app for free? Yes, it is free. So I can answer that one.
It's a freemium model. Some piece of the app is free. If you want to engage with all the advanced features like relayer, not paying for failure of transactions, being able to pay the fees in different tokens, all of that comes with a little fee. Yeah.
Stef, one question to that: is it non-problematic to buy like a HEX dip via Staker app, or do you get like some problems at times of a high volume?
It's unlikely, because actually that's a value proposition. That's what you're paying for. We guarantee that you have a fast transaction. We subsidize it. We have a mechanism by which some of the fees get to pay a relayer, so that we can guarantee most of our users.
But like the error, like too little received, for example.
Sorry.
So, for example, the error what you can get, like that you receive too little, like transaction did not get through, and error too little received.
I don't know about the specific. I suggest
that always happens when the volume is like pretty high, and if the volatility is jumping up and down. Big K, you definitely had that. Or never? Nobody here had ever had too little received one?
No.
Motley, help me out.
I wasn't listening, bro.
Patrick. I suggest if you have issue, you can even chat to me directly. We'll look into it. We'll look
sure.
I think it's better than just if you have support issues, just come to me directly. Or
I think what X-Line was mentioning was MetaMask.
It was a general question. That usually in times of high volatility and volume, you can get error messages. For example, too little received. Yeah, Etherscan shows you the error too little received, and that only happens at times of high volatility. For example, today when people bought up the dip. So that's why it came to my mind, because I read it like today in the morning in my Crypto Sparbuch group. Like, what did I do wrong because I got this error message?
It's a great question. The best thing is just to look into the detail, which I don't have there. So please reach out to us and we can investigate. First time I hear about it, so I'm surprised.
No, it wasn't a stake app user. It was I just wanted to know if that can happen with this as a stake app user as well, or if you will always get your transaction.
It's not an issue. It's not an issue.
No, it's not.
Okay. Thank you. So again, the way our system works is that we relay transaction. We subsidize the gas. If we quoted you a price and we were wrong on the price, and the gas price is increasing, we will chase the gas market to make sure that your transaction gets in within a reasonable time frame. On average, we are at like 1:30, 1 minute 30 to 2 minutes. So we pay for gas price and we're chasing it. So if we don't get it, we overbid to make sure that your transaction gets in as fast as possible, right? So if we do a bad estimation, we have a machine learning algorithm that try to forecast the different prices based on historical condition. And so, we quote your price. and we make sure that we can get you in as fast as possible, even if it costs more. Yeah.
Were any of those were any of those gas optimization things ever actually effective, like the Chi token and things like that, where you got an Ethereum refund? Did that ever play out, or did they alter that in the new version of Ethereum?
Yeah, they kill the optimization you can do. I think Vitalik said, "This is a bit stupid. Why someone would just submit transaction and just doing the other mechanism just to do gas optimization?" And they kind of killed it in a sense. So the Chi token almost died out after that. It was put together by I think the one inch team. They were using that a lot. Yeah, that's a bit, I understand Vitalik's point, but people are trying just to do optimization left and right, and when something seems not to be the optimal solution, I understand why you want us to reset your infrastructure just to provide a better service overall. And not to say that the new model with like the EIP 1559 was fully well designed, right? You have like a little tip that you can give to miners, and then you have some of the guys that gets burned. Yeah, it's not all rosy, and it had very little effect on the price last summer till today. Right now, you could even argue that the gas price, even in moment of bear market, the gas price never gets down as low as it used to be.
Without EIP 1559.
Yeah, without the EIP 1559. So yeah, I'm not happy with the new upgrade. Right?
Well, I bring that up because you just said something like chasing the gas price, and I assume that you're overpaying, so you make sure the transaction goes through. Is that what you were saying when you were saying chasing the gas price on the behavior of the staker?
But things average out, right, across our users, because we are quoting based on our estimation of what the future gas will be. We take a little buffer to make sure that our users often get the best deal. If the price goes below, well, our users might be overpaying a little bit, and overall, across all of our users, they get a good deal. That's our basically relayer operator operates at a net zero value. We're not making any money on that.
Yeah,
we're just spreading the risk. We're spreading the risk across all of our users, so they don't feel it.
That's the most frustrating thing, is to have a failed transaction and paying for it again. It's the most awful. And do you think that PulseChain will be able to address that kind of thing in its iteration of the fork? Will it be any of those same issues as it becomes popular?
Yeah, so there's a couple of reasons why something could fail. There's many different. The most likely reason why things fail often is around, for most users, just based on volume, is around dexes, where people have a defined slippage tolerance or time expiration, and your order doesn't get filled. So I might fail there. That could be a way to fail. There's some edge cases where, depending on market condition, or the smart contract itself, you may have like failures, but it's hard to say. But it really depends on the specific of what you're trying to do on the blockchain. But yeah, on our side, to avoid to be in that situation, we're just trying to squeeze in your transaction as fast as possible, so there's less viability around the smart contract condition for failure that could be triggered, right? So we're just trying to squeeze in the transaction as fast as possible. Yeah.
As a developer, I have a question. You're the developer, obviously, not me. When Eric was on Richard's stream and he made this kind of comment, like, if I don't know your developers, then there must not be any good. He inferred that kind of content. What is your opinion about if Eric doesn't know someone in the blockchain development space, that they must not be any good? That's what I got from his statement. I don't know if anybody else felt that same way.
I did.
Yeah. So if I hear you correctly, his argument is like not even reputation. How famous you are equals how competent you are, right? This is his argument.
Yeah.
We have so many counter examples in the world that this guy is a troll. So I don't know. I mean, it could have been it could have said, well, I've got this master's in computer science, and I'm gonna just go deep at research. Like, hey, what about these things? What about bridges How many people are operating the bridge? Is that trustless? What about the launch plan, right? When the new PulseChain mainnet comes to the market, how many hours will it take for people to be able to transact? Is there a ceremony organized as the EOS team or the Cardano team or the Ethereum team do when they're launching? Who is part of that ceremony period? So I would be a much better debater than it would be for Richard, because I know my shit.
I guess we should need to get an interview between Stef and Richard.
I would grill him, not just to grill him. Say, hey, I got a lot of legitimate questions that could be answered, and maybe people are interested in answering. And I haven't heard you mention all these things publicly, and I think it's of interest for all people that sacrifice. So,
I think that'd be a great chat. One last question, because I've been trying to get it. I would like to be able to view the whole history chart of my portfolio balance. Has Stef touched on that? Is that even possible in a future edition of Staker app?
No, everything is possible. Everything is possible. It's just a matter of time and priorities. That's maybe the type of things we put. Yeah, I'll have to ask the team, right? Because charting prices and performance is a bit tricky, because you need to go across all the different value points. You need to consume a lot of resources, right? To say, hey, how was the price of these different assets? Let's say you have 1,000 assets in your account. Now you need to look back into the prices of all these different assets, doing a sum over the different days. So if you look at 3 years or 5 years of data, it costs a lot of money just for having a server to compute that volume. So we'll have to decide. Does that make sense? Who wants it? Do we charge a fee, or a different business model is put in place for people that want more advanced features? We'll see.
Can you does anybody have any contact at Coinly? I think Coinly is a pretty good tax processing kind of software. I think that'd be interesting to integrate with Staker to be able to export out. That's what I end up using this past year.
Koinly.io,
I think. But they're an important thing. DEXs and decentralized and MetaMask and things like that. It just helps. And if it's this restaking kind of process, that's the tedious thing about reporting for me.
Yeah, at the minimum we should be providing. I think that's what we'll do in order. Providing some sort of export of your transactions and everything in maybe nicely formatted way. So you have a CSV file you can give to your accountant. Can you then import that into Coinly or somewhere else? Depending on, we'll have to look what people tends to use, what they have, and everything. But yeah, last year we are too small. We didn't have time just to implement such features.
Well, it's good because those same people that run those things, Coinly, they're interacting with all the other different crypto providers, influencers, content producers, review of the software, every other sponsored thing that they do, and it's just nice to have it prominent as an icon of Staker on their main page.
Yeah, cool. Again, I don't want to hijack the stream with Staker, so I prefer to chill, discuss about anything. But yeah, I'm excited about what's coming. I'm really excited about what's coming. PulseChain gonna be interesting. It's one thing I think we need to keep in mind is this software is hard, so it's new. So you need to be excited, but also aware of things that not be working, right? This is a really new thing. So I'm always looking on the side, say, hey, how much I want to engage with this new system, even if the testnet work correctly. Say, okay, this is a new blockchain. How much capital I'm putting in it, and taking baby steps, and then when you feel more confident, just scaling, right, as you feel more confident with the product. Because you could have a scenario where some aspect of PulseChains are not working as expected, and we might be in a situation where people are starting blaming. So it's hey, just be responsible for your actions, right? There's a clear disclaimer that software is hard. We are lucky that blockchain exists and that this shit even work. So take baby steps. When the chain comes out, don't be too emotional. Just take your time.
Well, you touched
I'll do
on
my best.
PulseChain. you touched on PulseChain there. Before we get there, because that's a popular topic as of late, and probably with HEX 19, he and Mom 19 are going to do their first stream, Couples in Crypto with Black Hexagon, Sunday. I think that's May 29th, not February 29th, but yeah, May 29th,
Nice.
23 UTC.
Awesome.
So check that out. Love Hex 19.
Just a couple days.
He's a frequent participator in this chat and in this show over this, I don't know, year and a half or so of history. But anyway, yeah, cool. I'm going to check that out, and I know a lot of people in chat are going to. So yeah, I have coming up down here as one of the last topics for the night. I have no idea even where to go with this, but maybe some might have idea. People are like, oh, well, it could be June 1st because you didn't say May, but, you know, and then other people are like, oh, big PP, June 3rd.
June 3rd.
And then other people are like, and other people are like, oh, September, or maybe, you know, at the end of the bear market. So I'll just throw it around the room. Any best guesses now, or maybe somebody has read or heard something that I haven't from one of the dev rooms or something like that. Any best guesses on if for weeks or now months away due to, I guess, code rewrites with PulseChain?
And exactly, that's what we are doing. We are just throwing out guesses. But I guess if we ask Staker app as Stef here, the first one, then we'll have a little better clue. Because Richard was saying everything is done.
I'm not saying anything on that.
Wait, give me a chance to ask the question here first. Because I think everything is done, right? PulseChain done, PulseX done. We have the testnet running. We are waiting for V3. But now we want to do something else, right? Richard Hahn wants to use this code and translate it into a different language. So maybe we can ask Stef here, how much time would it take to translate something like PulseChain into a different coding language? Assuming you have 14 devs.
I really cannot comment on that because, you know, I have my guesses, but I don't want to influence the market. So the most responsible thing is not to say anything. You guys can speculate all of you want. But it's most likely that my guesses are better than yours.
We won't believe you, Stef. Yeah, last year we didn't believe you, so we won't believe you.
Don't believe me. But at some point, you know, you need to either you want to just keep having your hands in front of your eyes, or you say, well, you know, this thing is a bit hard. I would just follow, you know, what Richard is doing. It's like he said, like, yeah, when I know better, you know, I've got better estimates. I will tell you. Don't worry. If you're a bit stressed, is maybe you sacrifice too much. What I can say, maybe the general comment I can tell, more technically speaking, is like, imagine you have a car and someone says, well, okay, we have a good engine, but we've heard that on the market, there's like the new version of the engine that just been produced, right? So we're gonna just replace the V8 per the V10, right? There's different things that can happen, right? How much customizes the V10, right? Is that just a brand new engine or has been tested by other people, right? How much connection or binding you need to put into the truck for the car to start working? So that's a very loose answer to your question, because the complexity behind what they need to do depends on how much they need to do, and I don't know. I don't know how much they need to do. Yeah. It could be a lot of work. It could be a little work. So guesses can be very wild.
When it's ready. That's it.
I'm waiting for someone in chat to be like, cough once for next month, cough twice for fall. But yeah.
I'm the only one who thinks it can still start in seriously 2 weeks or 4 weeks. In the chat, we had a lot of 4 weeks here. Like, we do not know how long it can take, right? It could take forever, maybe another year, but I have seriously the feeling somehow it can launch like any moment. I'm expecting to go to Twitter, to Richard Hart, and then see it will launch then and then. And then I think it will really be that.
You need to say that, no? After tweeting first launch date back in November.
I mean, on the Wake Up HEX show, we looked at this one tweet from Richard where he listed all the open tickets that are still not yet done or finished, and that, to be honest, now I'm not a coder, but that didn't sound like 4 more weeks to me, more like 4 more months. But I hope, for the sake of the PulseCon conference in September, that we better be live before that.
And how about for the sake of the KSB TV
Or even
team?
for
Because we are planning a tour here, guys.
Oh my God.
So you see, you're just revealing to everybody that you guys are in rush of these things coming out because you made some planning according to what you thought was.
No, we
should
don't
be
make
happening.
any more planning. Like last time
what
I
I'm-
made planning, I said next time we plan is when PulseChain is out.
The most important is not for it to be ready for any conference. The most important is to be ready so that it's secure and it doesn't fail. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, so
right.
why does it take
I
so
meing,
long
beating-
after Richard
beating
saying
ETH
like
2.0.
for weeks in the beginning that it only needs like a few minor changes and then we can start right away? Was it only marketing? Because I guess
could be.
all
Maybe Richard is stalling because he originally thought that it would come sooner than later. Since he didn't do that work in the past, it's really hard to estimate something you never done in the past. And then you always have like incident happening, whether you want it or not. For example, we could tomorrow say, okay, we are publishing the new version of the app on the Play Store, the App Store. And for whatever reason, they changed their policies in the past 6 months and we didn't catch something out there. And now we were expecting the review just to be happening in, let's say, a couple of hours. That this is regular time it takes them to review the app before it goes live. But now it takes them a week. So even if we thought the product would come to market tomorrow, now we have a week and it's outside of our control, right? You can make the best estimation, so you always need to add a bit more time, a bit of buffer there. Even Ethereum themselves, they say, well, 3 months ago they say, oh, it will come by the end of June, and now they're saying the end of September, right? Everybody's pushing like when you have a complex systems with a lot of independence, dependencies, and not only that, millions of dollars of people are at stake. You just don't want to rush it. Does it make sense, right? We don't want to
but
be the next
did he rush it then like in the project in the first place by saying like throughout the sacrifice phases that it's like so close and only minor changes and nearly done, easier than HEX? Because it was the first time by you today that somebody like tells me that PulseChain and PulseX is way more complicated than HEX, for example, which took 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's different set of problems you're trying to address. But the key difference and the reason why people are so anxious or eager is X was when some people started putting some money towards the project was finished already. Pulse and PulseX are just promises, right? So that's the key difference. As one, you were just actually investing something finished. There's a lot of people that have capital locked up into a sacrifice and they want to do something with it, right? So, and I understand the feeling, right? But the word sacrifice was not innocent. I tweeted last summer in July, say, well, a sacrifice, you look at the definition of sacrifice is like, the giving away of something of value to a deity, right? A god. And now you hope for the best.
And there you have it.
These are still means, PulseChain and PulseX, as exciting as it has been over this past year of sacrifice, projecting, here's where things change, here's where a better Ethereum launches, all that stuff. The endpoint still is about onboarding cost and kind of the resistance that we faced as Ethereum price changed, right, from the launch of 2019 into 20 and 22, 21, 22. And I have a feeling, I have a feeling that a lot of people will participate in PulseChain that never participated in HEX. A lot of people will be in PulseX. A lot of trade volume will happen. Price will go up on those two coin and token. And some of that will land in shiny new things in the material world and flexing, and some of it will land back in the product that originated it. So I project a rotation, just like the Bitcoin altcoin season. I think there will be a seasonality of the ecosystem, and we, for good or for bad, we'll be talking amongst ourselves about different things inside the ecosystem that exist. What's next? Oh, there's going to be a sacrifice for a wallet. Oh, what's the wallet going to do that MetaMask doesn't? What's the next tool that will come out? So we'll still have seasonality, but I want to think of HEX as the BTC of crypto inside of the altcoin of all the other products launched in the ecosystem. What are your thoughts about that? Do you think that's a viable system 2 years, 3 years down the road when all these things are launched out? Deep thoughts.
It's hard to say. I mean, is it going to be? I think it's going to be a mix of rotation across products. Some people are going to maybe overemphasize the strengths of one over time, and then maybe they thought that there's going to be that much volume on PulseX, so they put a premium on the price of the token, and now, for whatever reason, the chain itself is attracting so many projects that the DEX is cool, but there's other competing DEXs there that makes maybe PulseX a bit less relevant, right? Whatever reason you can have, people are not factoring alternate scenario, right? So I tweeted, I think last time, say, hey, have you done the math? And what I meant is like, have you built a couple of models or assumption and thesis and say, hey, what if these things happen? Right? If it's a better competitor of PulseX coming to market and they attract more liquidity for whatever reason, right? They come up with a new AMM formula that is just much better. What do you do? Right? So people don't always overestimate something. We're just looking at the thing. They're just saying, oh, let's step back. Okay, what is the category of product that could disrupt that product, and what is the percentage? What is the likelihood for that to happen? Right? Maybe it's just 1% chance. So I don't over-index on that right now, and I'll deal with it when it comes to market. But yeah, it's going to be both I think a mix of rotation across product, because people will make misjudgment. But I think the market might find an equilibrium, and also an influx if we don't have like a deep recession of new capital to the project. My key indicator for success for PulseChain is the number of like is twofold. The number of people of smart contract team developers that something deployed on Ethereum that start maintaining things and advertising as if it was something ported over Polygon or Avalanche. It's going to be a key indicator. The second indicator is like the native new project happening on the chain and the quality of the developers or the team building something. I mean, if we don't have the same quality of like, the people building Aave, Compound, or Uniswap, finding that new chain is worth investing. The developers are the ones driving user adoption. You need to have product, dApps, for it to be adopted. So that's going to be, I think, very, very important for PulseChain. It's still too early just to say if people will recognize it for what it is and will want to build on top of it.
Yeah, I see a lot of mimicking of other other dApps on other L1s. I don't know anything really about Cardano. I don't know anything about Tron as L1s and their NFT or gaming, gambling, whatever it is that they launch on their products. I really am not aware whatsoever. And Ethereum, all of us are still Ethereans. All of us have been Ethereans for years. All HEX people are Ethereans, right? But I really don't participate. I know that I'm inside of a echo chamber because I do like the product and I do like the community. So I really don't search out. I need to, and again, I don't want to dive into the crypto world. I just want to have product that works, and as it works to me is yield in HEX. Whatever HEX price is at the time of a stake comes out is fine with me. That's been my speculative savings account all along. So,
but that's what it is. I've onboarded family like 2 weeks ago, and we took 50,000 HEX and we staked that out in one Quattro Cinco stake. And we modeled it in the what's it called, Stake HEX Today website with no increase, and we said the price will forever remain at 13 cents. And that investment, 50,000 HEX, which you can currently get for 6.5 grand, that according to the modeling with just the normal payouts, not counting penalties, is worth $500,000 in 15 years if HEX is at 13 cents. And do we really think it'll stay at 13 cents? I think that's just a fantastic opportunity for everybody to get in now, whether it's a dip or it's a bear market. That's what you need to look at, and that's how HEX should be played going forward.
Well, Richard always said, this locking mechanism allows you to sit through the dips. What do you think the dips are? They're emotional moments. They're emotional months or years, so.
Well, I think it's amazing that HEX was designed to do 10,000x in 2.5 years. We reached it in 2 years with maximum hate, right? People were hating on Richard. We had gatekeeping by big companies like CoinMarketCap, for example. People still hate on HEX. For example, Binance not listing it because they are probably afraid of HEX just sucking up all the crypto energy, and then it's nothing left for them to have it centralized anymore. But my point is, now with Pulse and PulseX, I have a different market sentiment. I see big Twitter names now talking about PulseChain, PulseX, and also HEX, right? There's this one app. If you type in HEX, you can look at all the influencers in HEX. And top one of the HEX influencers are actually other communities talking about HEX, which I think is really great. I've never seen anything like that before. And this is why I believe we can be really, really bullish, even we are in a bear market, right? Everybody is saying we're in a bear market. Maybe even HEX will go down in the few next couple of years. But I see that differently. Like the whole market seems to be different, and people really want to go into PulseX and PulseChain. So maybe we see something like decorrelated and HEX doing something totally different than the whole market. That's at least what I want to see.
Yeah, and Stef, I just pulled up this chart right here for the TVL on all chains.
Yeah, I just can comment really quickly. You can see that on that chart, the distribution. I think it's just in terms of TVL. There's also dimension that you can look at, like the number of unique addresses, the number of the transactions, the value of this transaction. But here, just a simple high-level representation of like, hey, how much money, right? People are willing just to lock into these different blockchain, right? So you have a mix, I think, on that website, DeFi Llama /chains of layer 1, layer 2, and you can see over time, right, who's gaining, who's losing market share, right? And so in your mind, you can make a rough assumptions like, oh, based on my projected amount of users that I can see using the PulseChain, the different prices of different assets, how in the next, let's say, year or 6 months, market share PulseChain will gain, right? Will it be bigger than Binance when it started? I think Binance, it was kind of a very fast adoption. So it was one of the yellow, and then it got compressed by the rival of Polygon, Avalanche, Solana, and then other layer 2. So these things are dynamic, right? Nothing is set in stone. You need a lot of people competing. PulseChain has a lot of competitors, and the question is going to be, across different value proposition, do you do better than all of these guys in the metrics, the price, the velocity, the number of developer adoption, investor adoption, people using the dApps. So yeah, I like to paint a realistic picture based on what happened in the past. To say, where should we fit? So yeah, just you can deep dive, guys. You can deep dive. There's no reason not to look at what people are doing. This by learning what works elsewhere, that you can bring more value to PulseChain if you love the chain that much.
Cool. Well, thank you for that. Just one more thing on the list, I guess, before we get out of here and chill. And that's just, I guess, more of a community social issue. So there's been a lot made of flexing, and I really don't care if it's Hexicans, or Richard Hart, whatever. People have the right to do what they do. But a lot of scrutiny has been on the founder lately, and that is what he is. That is what he does. That's how he markets. And I'm not a fan of trying to change that in any way. I don't care if it's a bull or bear market. I really don't care. Like that's his life, and that's how like we kind of knew him. I mean, granted, it's on a larger scale now because he's promoting way bigger and better things. But just any thoughts on some of the community outrage, which I think is I think it's bear market pain just being lashed out. I think it's some of it, well, most of it is rather silly, and yeah, I'll just throw that around the room before we close out because he's the founder. We know who he is. We signed up. We we're in, and I just think it's bear market pain right now that has people lashing out.
I also think it's bear market pain. People are butthurt because they expected prices to be higher, right? But like you said, we knew Richard being like that. And I think the point is that, he has like this leader figure position, right? Where people are looking up to him. And then when he is so much overly excessive with his clothing style or his language, then of course it turns off some people. But what we have to understand is that he's doing that calculated, right? He knows exactly what he's doing, and he just wants to punch through the noise. And I think this is the most hard thing to do. Richard by himself says all the time, if he would just talk about keyboards all day, he would probably have more viewers. But his stuff is really technical, and that's why now there's the community here. We have Cabana, your show, for example, Maddie Ellen. We have all those different streamers with different viewpoints on HEX, and they all behave differently. And if somebody does not like how Richard Hart is marketing, I would just say, well, let's send him to Gerardo or to a Huddle Dog, for example, because they are definitely way more cleaner than Richard is. Huddle Dog, maybe not. I don't know about him, but Gerardo is for sure family friendly.
Yeah, DJ Cryptomatic. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm following Richard since 2017, very early on, and he has always been like that. But my trust is in him is like unshaken because I've seen the time it took to bring HEX to the market, and then afterwards the HEX performance and everything he projected into it came true or performed even better than he himself had expected it. So that's why my trust is not shaken. But of course, I see the sentiment with people who don't know him as long and don't have it, because it takes that person, like sitting through a bear market. That is an experience that you can read a book about it, but if you've never really lived it, so that's something you need to have been through. So I can of course see the point that people who don't know him as well as we do and have sacrificed for these 2 coins now and only really follow him since then or shortly before that, and then now it takes very long for the development, which to all of us here, I think was always clear that it would take long, but new people had different expectations, right? And then of course they have nothing, and some of them gave up their last money or so that they had into these sacrifices, and then they see him with the Louis Vuitton stuff. I can understand that they think by themselves, hey, what the hell is going on? And then they don't care about if this is effective marketing or not, and they voice their anger. So I see that side, but I can only speak for myself, and I'm not worried in the slightest. I find it very entertaining what he does, and maybe you could say there is a time and place for everything, but that's just how he is. That is how we have gotten to know him, and he's always been like this. And because he is like this, HEX has been so successful. So yeah, that's just my very personal take on it.
My take is coins have to get in more hands than few. If you have all the gold in the world distributed and then it all concentrates to one person, there's no value in gold because only one person holds it all. Every founder of every crypto has to have a distribution model. Sometimes you hear about airdrops. Sometimes you hear about forks. Every time that there's quote unquote hex flex and people are buying fancy shoes or fancy cars or whatever, realize they are pushing themselves out of holding at least that portion, that if they've sold that, if that's what they sold to turn into tangible goods, tangible services, if that's what they did, then they are moving themselves out of their position, so to speak. Maybe they do have, and they are using the product as it's designed. Maybe they have principled stakes that have yield. Maybe they sell the yield. Maybe they look at the market and they do participate like most of the marketplace apparently does. Trades in, trades out, swing trade, chart hyper observance and all that stuff. But coins still have to be distributed to give it utility. The token of HEX has to be distributed, and selling the price, and someone has to buy the price. They buy it at a cheaper rate, they buy it at a higher rate, but still that distribution has to happen. So I don't see it as a bad thing. If it's it's counterproductive because people see the superficial only, then we just need to be better on our messaging. In my opinion, because the coin still, if you want 100,000 participants, I think Stef said 90,000 staked wallets or something like that. Or if you look at the total number of wallets that hold HEX coin, I think it's 300,000 or whatever the number might be. Do you want it to be 3 million? Do you want it to be 30 million? Do you want it to be more? Those coins have to get in those hands somehow. How does it happen? It happens through these market trades. And some of it is selling something that's worth something to get something else. And sometimes that's material goods. Sometimes it's, there's a lot of people actually that sell and they launch things that generate cash flow, and then that cash flow sustains them instead of their future sell pressure. This isn't the only source of revenue for a lot of people inside of HEX. So even if you see fancy things, it may be that they speculate more with their businesses, their conventional model businesses. They feel more comfortable or secure in their investment thesis with crypto, this particular product, hopefully. There's all kinds of reasons why people spend money, midlife crisis, whatever, but people spend money.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, I guess we'll go around the room to not Motley Investor and not Big K, but perhaps we'll keep going clockwise. Patrick, thank you guys for, and of course, okay, supercar right there. But anyway, thank you guys for coming by. And
hello, Rakam.
Where can we find you guys?
Right, thank you. It's always a pleasure, of course, being here. And where can you find us? Of course, the most prominent is Crypto Sparbuch channel, right? We're working on that since 2 years. But with all the Americans having problems saying our name, we decided to open up KSB.TV LLC. And with that comes also a new YouTube channel. So on this YouTube channel, we are trying to gather as many people as possible right now. KSB.TV YouTube. Please, guys, go there and like and subscribe. And then once you are there, you always also want to go to the Million Pulse Tour, and this is just ksb.tv. There you find all the informations about the Million Pulse Tour, how you can contribute, how you can help, how you can do all those nice things. Is there anything else I forgot, Patrick?
No, I just wanted to say thank you for the people, and thanks for the great conversation. It's always nice to come to you to the Friday stream, Cabana.
Yeah, always a pleasure having you, Stef. First time really like as a full guest on the show. I think you might have popped by for a special event, or something like that. But thanks for coming by and answering, a lot of questions, obviously, because it's a different audience. But yeah, where can we find you?
Yeah, thanks for the last minute invitation. Yeah, I was planning just to sleep a bit more early. It's already being a bit late in Europe. And I want to apologize for people watching the stream. Maybe I've come across as a bit like negative about the future of Pulse, the prices, the market. But that's my nature, a bit more like contrarian, realistic. I don't buy into the FUD. I question most of things, and so that's the way it is, right? I won't chase new followers and say that the price is gonna go up, because that's not me, right? So I tend to provide mostly alpha, talk about security. Sometimes prices, building sticker up, and hope that we're gonna make it easier to provide user experiences for people to deal with this new way of doing finance. So, yeah, thank you for the stream. Thank you for the guest. And I was with Gary in Ukraine last September, October. And he knows that I'm a very energetic, positive person that loves dancing. So if I have a serious face today or the other days, in real life, I'm more fun than that.
Nice.
Definitely fun. Those are fun. We'll talk more about that. DJ,
And
were you about to say
thanks for all your answers today, Stef.
Hey, Funding Jim, nice little segue there over to you. Where can we find you?
Pretty much I'm only Telegram and Twitter. I don't really do, I mean, I have Instagram and stuff like that, but I just put, it's a lot of finance influence people and stuff like that that I talk with a lot. And it is in an effort to onboard into HEX specifically. There's a lot of stuff that we are doing as the MCA, which is Kinetics, RG3, Hexologist, myself, Wales, and our managing partner, which is a major CPA firm. So I'm active with that. But really, if you're going to reach out to me or follow content, it's going to be spontaneous kind of YouTube content. I'll do as far as my own, join on these kinds of streams whenever I see them pop up. And, just basically trying to live a tranquil life. I'm still very active in real estate. I like international stuff. I like places that are to me, more stable economies. So yeah, if it's anything along the line of real estate or HEX specifically, I like PulseChain. I promote PulseChain. I'm speculating on it's doing well. I like PulseX a lot. I think that they're the tokenomics of things that have worked well in Ethereum's ecosystem will work well on these two coin and tokens. But I am very much a HEX maxi when it comes to my store of value narrative, my investment thesis of savings. So if it's along those lines, real estate related, these three products related, I'll talk anytime about it. So reach out to me.
Outstanding. Thank you. And Mr. DJ Cryptomatic, who
Yeah, thanks for having
your streams Tuesdays. When are you on? And tell us where
the
else we
stream
can
is,
find you.
especially contrary to Steph, I'm totally chasing for new followers, especially for our HEX rate train that we got going on Twitch. It's every Tuesday night. We have 3 HEX themed DJs now. That's DJ Alpha Music, who was in the chat earlier, myself, and we have DJ Patrice. He's from Paris and France. So among the 3 of us, we're dominating Twitch on a Tuesday night, and we have 9 hours back to back where we DJ the funky music and we bring the audience from one stream to the next. And for the total duration of this Shingding every Tuesday, we're touching between 4,000 and 5,000 clicks, and all these people are exposed to HEX in an entertaining, funny kind of way. And you never know who drops by into these are mostly no coiners, not really hexicans. The hexicans help support and help build the base audience there, but we're really pushing to get the word about HEX out to new people who are interested in music, and that's our way to capture them. So that's twitch.tv/DJ_Cryptomatic on Twitch. And we do this every Tuesday night. But thanks again for having me on today. I wanted to represent, because I feel it's especially important on days like today. It's easy to talk about HEX when it's all green and everything is pumping, but I think especially in times like these, we need to be there for the community and hold up the flag. I think it's very important.
Yep, I cannot agree with you more on that. Thanks, Mr. DJ, once again. Just a shout out to the ladies of Discourse. I think they have a stream tonight at 8 o'clock, I believe. So I think it might be Serena and Sammy and some others on there. So check that out. Gold Key, Mr. DJ, would like a set tonight. I don't know if that's probably a little late.
We had one earlier. We had one before the show.
And I had one more note that I think a couple of Hedron auctions come due later tonight or
shortly. That's starting.
Yeah. So if you're into that, go check that out. So yeah, just wanted to shout that out as well. And I think with that, all of our bullet points have been checked off the checklist, and we are good to go. So I just wanted to quickly thank Motley Investor, Big K, aBit, Patrick Hexline, Stef, Funding Jim, and DJ Cryptomatic. Just another great show, great chat. Everybody, thanks for the great questions. I try to get as many as possible. If I went down every single one of them, this would probably be like a 6-hour show, and it would still keep going because you all keep it up with the great questions. So I appreciate you guys. You guys keep the show going. And we'll definitely see you next week. And thanks again, and